turn.
You're back.
I am prepared to watch more of the one topic. The man.
She was back up too already. Wow, you spent no time wasting.
I got food and now I'm ready to go again.
Yeah, while you were gone, I was busy reading over a document I was asked to look over.
What if we stopped at Carrier?
Shut up, ads. I will send out a tweet and be like, hey guys, we back again. We back at it again. B, I'm in a history lecture. No, I'm sorry. Quote tweet. Paste. And then enter. We back at it again with that. What should I say we're back at it with? Pierre.
The only thing that comes to my mind. The only thing that comes to my mind is back at it again at Krispy Kreme.
We back at it again with that pyramidal perversion. Who dinged? Big Mac cheered. Have you ever seen a baby velociraptor? Only in the context of, like, Jurassic Park, because they hatched a baby velociraptor. That was in, like, the first movie. They hatched a bunch of velociraptors. Okay.
Those kind of personal details would be off limits and no way would be used as a weapon. We were surprised by the Reddit posts. Certainly. The details from the troll account were so specific. But behind the scenes, I was constantly reminding people not to jump to conclusions about this, that even though the timing was strange and the details were so specific, we should not be paranoid about who it originated from. I don't have a lot of interest in going over the Doobie Schmertz accounts themselves in detail. Either the one on Reddit or the ones on Twitter or however many other alt accounts. I worked with Click when it happened to contact the creators and friends that were tagged, and I know he apologized for his words that he said when he was 15. And Swedish, and learning English as a second language. However, the account targeted his apology, said it was bad, and continued on to ping others. It became clear the harassment was not intended to stop. There were specific portions of the posts on Reddit from the troll account that stood out to me, and intentional phrasing to drive a wedge between Click and I. And one topic is friends with someone while pretending to be wholesome and good. I think one topic is a liar and a sham, and has been pandering to our community. If he stays friends with someone like this, he is using us for money. It was such specific phrasing and sounded so familiar. I didn't want to believe it. I'm still having a hard time wrapping my mind around this. We had been transparent about focusing on streaming to help bring in side income, because even though a side project like Sad Milk was affordable and even profitable in the latter months, in order to do this long term, we needed to ensure we were bringing in more income in addition to having fun with the community. And I talked about how making content for the Patreon was taking a lot of time, but how I really enjoyed my circle over there. And the comment, "I know I'm going to be leaving and stop supporting him on Patreon," sounded so... I couldn't believe that this was the person who would say that. Salty.
Yes.
Did you leave Sad Milk because we were paying you better on the podcast?
No. No. Wait, I was getting paid?
Shut up, Salty. A couple of months later, I found out personal and private details about members of the group who left were being spread around maliciously when I was DM'd by a concerned community member who had been talked to. A community member who still messages me today with concerns about all of this. The message was concerning offline information that had not been shared outside of private work conversations, private one-on-one conversations, or had not been shared at all, mixed in with fabrications. It later became clear who that information had originated from, and this was later independently corroborated by a creator who had come forward to me who had witnessed this. Over the last month, I've seen a lot of things that were said about me, and about us. Maybe too much. I do believe that a person should be allowed some space and privacy to vent frustrations or to feel angry about friends or colleagues with people they trust. And I'm not upset about that. I don't care that mean words were said about me or that mean words will still be said about me. What I do care about is how lies were weaponized against myself and my friends. There is a distinct difference between privately venting and purposefully spreading of harmful lies. I had to tell my family that they couldn't.
Heckin'. I feel like that's so obvious, but like, clearly so many people need to hear that. Feral Nix is now following. Welcome. I hope you enjoy your stay. Thank you. Yeah. Feels like it should go without saying that these two are not one and the same thing, but some people really... Ugh.
Karambit Claus is acknowledging the microphone. He's just talking so seriously, and his mic is just eyes.
But yeah, you're not saving streams on Twitch anymore? They stay on Twitch for like 2 weeks. That's how it's been for a very long time.
Engage with my content out of concern that they might say something that would get them targeted too. I had to worry not just about who I made friends with, but who, by being friends with me, I put at risk. Dealing with all of this is certainly stressful, and you start to question yourself and doubt yourself. I had no idea that that was by design. I feel very lucky that I've had a good support network around myself the last few years. I've had the same friends who went through that with me.
Yep, I'm still here.
Yeah, still here, just sick, not dead.
And the same moderators who help keep the community safe.
I moderate your Discord, I moderate your Twitch, I moderate your YouTube, I moderate your life.
Hey! All right now, Monster. All right. And Human One has been through all of this with me and seen everything.
Yep, I'm still here.
I've taken a month away from things because I'm also the support network for others, and I've been there for them. Through this most recent rehashing of things, I've seen what they've seen, and being there for them was the priority. I still don't want to believe all of this is... I still don't want to believe all of this
but there's
is
still
true.
so many more.
I'm not convinced the person who did this did not intend real-world harm to us.
Obviously.
The only kind of person who could slander their friends like this is someone who is darkly unremarkable. Blair, I don't know if you've made it this far, but...
Shit. When you get called darkly unremarkable. Damn.
It's a phrase. It sure is.
That's a fucking...
It's kind of raw.
That's a power move of a phrase.
It's kind of raw, not gonna lie.
I truly am. I really wish we could have been the friends you were looking for, but we were still your friends. What you did was unacceptable and goes so far beyond any petty beefs or squabbles or hurt feelings. This wasn't just trying to separate yourself from us like we asked for and worked to do. You acted like this was a war and that you should be recruiting soldiers to come after us.
There's such a commonality online now where people can't just like split and go their separate ways. It's like one of them goes out of their way to try and destroy the other, like a fucking Highlander situation. We've had a disagreement, now there can only be one. Like, you guys can just move on. You don't have to go out of your way to like try and destroy each other's careers. It's not like the other person doesn't deserve to have a career just because they disagreed with you.
You lied. And I can only think that's because you wanted us gone. Not just off of YouTube. You wanted these lies to come into our everyday life offline. You're right. We haven't spoken since
But the last 2 streams are nowhere to be seen. Does Twitch reset the setting or something? I mean, I assume the last 2 streams timed out because it's been like 2 weeks since I streamed. I don't know. I don't look at my Twitch very often. I'm sorry.
The meeting, and I had wondered about that because now it seems like you had a plan you wanted to implement and we were your punching bags. And that sucked, man. so much. Stop going after people who were your friends. Stop bullying other creators. I used to be
Oh, it may have been that they had copyrighted content, because I'm pretty sure I was listening to copyrighted music. There you go.
really proud of what we worked on, and I've got some good memories of it, with yourself included. These people who were your friends, who had gone to bat for you so many times, and then when they finally couldn't take how you treated them, you immediately turned on them and worked to isolate
goes
them
another
from their
one.
friends and their communities. People aren't only a sum of their worst qualities, and we aren't only our insecurities or fears. None of us looked at you as only one thing. We were proud to be your friends, and for so long we gave you everything we were able to. But when we explained our boundaries, it just wasn't good enough. That kind of resentment builds up. It doesn't mean we hated you or that we could never reconnect down the road, but we recognized that it was no longer
Yeah, control freaks don't like it when you have boundaries.
safe for our well-being to keep working with you. Having a grudge is one thing, but going after everyone is something entirely different. I don't know you, Blair. I don't know you, but I really wish things could have been different. I don't know if you have a support network around you to help you through this, but I hope you do. I hope on the other side of this, you just discontinue your harassment of creators you were once associated with, that you stop punching down on smaller creators. I don't have any hope of an honest apology, but you should really take that video down, Blair.
The fact that it's still up. Oh my god.
I had to get a coffee and cool
Yeah,
down.
that's what his microphone
All
looks
right,
like now.
common
Even if it's, like, newer
questions.
videos.
Yeah, ads on the video. The others have talked
20.
about why, algorithm and
No!
whatnot, but I also haven't uploaded for over a month while talking with the guys and
21
going
and the
through all
20
of the
again.
details of the situation, so a little bit of time to make up for. Are you pursuing this legally? I have spoken to a legal team about this previously, before all of this, and while there
If
are directions
this
we could go in,
flag
I just have no
offends you.
interest in pursuing that option at this time.
I don't know what the rest of the shirt says, but I assume it says, if this flag offends you. Tough titties.
Or good. Something like
Or
that.
suck it up, buttercup.
Yeah, 'cause it's... Because he's got the trans flag on it.
Yeah.
Unless I have
OT is
to.
a very
Like the
wholesome individual. I highly recommend his content.
Oh no, I know, I've watched his content. I'm not subscribed, but I watch his content every once in a while. And my mom and I, when we have dinner, sometimes we like to watch something. Sometimes we'll watch that chapter, sometimes we'll watch The Click.
Before, I just want to be done with all this. Fundraising! Yes! It's the first of the month. It's Pride Month. And I'm linking the Trevor Project on this video, as I have on many other videos. My target is to complete the goal of raising $100,000 by the end of June. We're getting suspiciously close. Are you still gonna...
Why is that suspicious?
Because that month he did not release anything.
Oh, okay.
He had been away for like a good solid, I want to say maybe even 2 months.
Yes, he did mention that.
Before
okay.
he dropped this.
Right. Okay, that is, like, fair, I guess. But if anything, I wouldn't call that suspicious. I would call that, actually, I don't know what I would call it, but I would just view it as the community being overly amazing. Talking about Triangle Lady? We are talking about Triangle Lady.
gonna keep making content?
Hey, what was the video you were watching on that other YouTube tab you showed for a glimpse? I think I know what video we were watching. I'm not sure. Which one? This one? We checked into this earlier. This was from earlier in the stream.
Dude, my Wikituvia is so unfinished.
We need to talk about sad milk.
If the intention was to make me go away forever, I'm certainly not going to be making it easier to achieve that. I will still be making content. This is my only planned response. I don't really want to cover everything I've been through in all this. It just doesn't feel helpful.
Hexomancy.
I've spent a lot of time speaking to my friends about how I could best support them. And at that time, all they needed was for me to be there for them. Now, with threats of legal action, I wanted my position to be clear.
No.
Be there for them. Now, with threats of legal...
Hey everyone, hope you're well. As many of you know by now, during this ongoing situation, I received a cease and desist demanding I remove my voice. Oh, so that'll be extra interesting once we get to it, because now we know that Blair specifically did not want that out there. Today, I have started a GoFundMe for anyone who wishes to aid legally in this matter. I intend to fight.
Legal action, I wanted my position to be clear.
Oz Media also
I do
got
have a bit of a
cease and
funny
desist.
story.
Understandable.
And Oz hasn't even... Well, no, because Oz hasn't even released a video. But Oz is getting a cease and desist.
Oh, well now that just makes me wonder, like, what the fuck kind of tea does Oz have on her?
Yeah, no, I'm
Like,
so
she tried to
interested in
shut
that,
him
too.
up before he even got to talking. Shit!
I mean, he's got a thread.
Mm.
But he was in the middle of making a video when he got a cease and desist from Blair. It's like, dude hasn't even released his video yet.
Mm-hmm. Interesting.
Threats of legal action, I wanted my
Also, vibe haircut.
position to be clear. I do have a bit of a funny story from this. When talking with Wonder, I heard the words, James, down the stairs into the basement, and I say, what? I did no such thing. What a time to find out you share a name with a dog.
Yeah, right?
Out of-
Like, why are you naming your dog James? Do what I do and name your dog really awesome names, but names that you could not feasibly give to a child. Damona's a great name, but probably not the best idea to give it to a child. Lazarus is a great name. Probably maybe don't give it to a child. Rocket's a great name. Maybe not a child.
I was about to say. We know someone by the name of Lazarus, though.
Like his actual birth name is Lazarus.
Actually, I don't know about that.
There you go.
But you know, it's Weird's friend Lazarus.
Yeah, I know.
I
Lazarus,
don't know
like
if
the
you
character.
remember.
But I was
Okay.
thinking like, yeah, I know. But I'm thinking like in terms of like the Lazarus pit. Lazarus, the man who rose from.
Yeah.
Blah, blah, blah.
I actually don't know what his real name is.
Yeah.
I haven't spoken to him in fucking forever, though.
Same. What would be other good names? Violator, Ragnarok, Destructor.
No, I love how, because I talked about this on a stream a while ago. I love how there were, like, so when it comes to cat names, there are two genres of cat names. And it's just, like, the really, like, simple, almost human names, and then, like, the very silly out there ones. But with dog names, there's, like, a wide variety. Like, there's a spectrum of names you would give to a dog.
Yes.
And there, on top of that, there are, like, specific dog-like names, too. So, there aren't, like, there aren't any of that for cat names. I think it's really funny.
Your dog's name is Martha? That makes me think of like the Batman v Superman. Why did you say Martha? Why did you say that name?
My grandmother has a dog right now. His name is Chewy, or Chewbacca.
Chewbacca slash Chewy as a fucking nickname was one of my potential nicknames for puppies.
Yeah,
If I were to get a dog.
Chewy is probably the youngest dog my grandmother's ever had, and I think also the only boy.
Oh.
Yeah, and he's a very hyperactive little guy. He's very hyperactive.
My dog's name
He's
is
also incredibly friendly.
My dog's name is
enjoy it.
Lissa because it's fox in Russian. I definitely said that wrong then. And she looks and acts like a fox. It's fair. Named his dog Bandit. Dog stole meat out of the truck. There's That just, yeah, that's just the dog. That's the dad from Bluey.
All of this, at least there's one, like, fun thing I can finally do.
Thor and Loki are quite popular names for dogs. Yeah, that doesn't at all surprise me.
It was still covered up a little bit. Okay, there. All right. I don't have a fun sign-off for this video like I do the usual ones, but I do have a stupid video of me and the guys running around throwing snowballs at one another, and I'll blur it out because it's in a neighborhood, but I'll let that play us off here.
Wonderstruck, where are your shoes? Wonder, barefoot. Wonder, go inside. Where are your shoes?
Y'all seeing
Where are
microphone?
your
Yeah.
Come inside.
What are you, fucking Canadian?
Wonderstruck, please don't make me mad. There's snow and so God.
What? OT?
Come back.
No,
Wonder-
Wonderstruck.
Or-
Oh God.
Because
Okay.
he's running around
Actually-
barefoot in snow.
Okay. So I was about to say, I think OT is Canadian. I think, if I recall it correctly. I'd have to double check.
Oh, hypothermia.
Come on. Oh shit. Oh God. Oh God. Oh God. My only hope. The official lost media is chasing me. I have shoes. No one can stop me now.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Oh, you
OT's OT's Canadian.
Please, we have enough content, you madman.
Oh my god.
This is great. I love this.
People talk about how I have gremlin energy. One topic has gremlin energy. This is the Canadian gremlin energy.
Wonderstruck guy. Holy Jesus, go. Wonder where he is.
Just the running like,
We
I
have
have
enough-
shoes, no one can stop me. This is, as a fellow gremlin, this is gremlin energy.
Media is chasing me. I have shoes. No one can stop me now. Oh, you power-hungry bastard.
Canadian gremlins
We
be
have
like,
enough content,
yeah.
you madman.
Alright. So now we have to move into the sad times.
It's gonna get heavy, guys.
Oh wait, no, his
Prepare
name is
yourself.
I'm Wonder.
One.
I'm a wonder. Illuminati. Wonderstruck guy.
Yep.
Oh no. I didn't. Disclaimer, this video will remain monetized as to prevent throttling. What does that mean? Oh, like videos that are not monetized do not get pushed in the algorithm?
Yeah.
Bitch. Okay, fair.
Hello, my name is Wonder, as I'm sure many of you know by now. Whether you've known me in the past for my content, or a friend, or neither, you're probably here to watch and hear the other side of a story involving me and my former colleague.
Also, considering I imagine he's going to be having to talk about really personal things that were not originally brought up by him, I feel like it's totally valid for him to monetize this video.
Yeah.
Like, people should be allowed to monetize and benefit from their trauma. Like, if trauma's gonna do fucking anything for you, it should at least get you a little money down the road.
Leagues that came out this week. I won't try to show face or sugarcoat anything in this video, as that would honestly be a disservice to myself. As you can already tell, my eyes are very much drifting off the screen. That is because I have put together a script so I can kind of keep my thoughts in line. It's not to say I don't feel genuine about any of this, it's just I need these kind of things to keep my brain from being erratic and going anywhere. So if it looks kind of odd and like I'm looking away, that's the reason why. This type of stuff makes me highly uncomfortable, but it is something that needs to be said. A couple days ago, a creator, a former friend, and an employer named by Blair, aka Illuminati, made a video discussing a few controversial topics she'd been the spotlight of. After discussing her first two controversies in her video, she moved on towards another topic, a group channel by the name of Sad Milk, accusations against a former member, and lastly, me. And as you may have noticed, I take up a fairly lengthy portion of her video. Now, I would like to say that the beginning of the Sad Milk discussion does begin with a former member known one by The Click, who came forward to express his experiences with Blair and how he did not want to associate with her. Upon seeing a former member come forward, I felt the strong emotional urge to speak out on my experiences with Blair. I had kept quiet for 2 years out of fear and NDA threats, but seeing Click come forward and kind of stick his foot in that pool and that fear allowed me the emotional strength I needed to come forward with a story of my own. I'll have my thread up on the screen here, but as you can tell, I was initially pretty emotional. You can also find a follow-up twit longer after she had made her video in the description, as well as a Google Drive where I'll be providing my evidence as presented in the video. Brought a lot of pain front and center. One thing you might notice in my thread, and that Blair rightfully points out, is that a large portion of my thread is in fact anecdotal, aside from the one image I shared of her living conditions. A photo in which she claims I took myself in a room that was strictly off limits due to it being for unpacking. A room in which I actually never set foot in once, and an image that was sent to me showing the living conditions of the house that she was subjecting my friend to. There will be more on that later in the video. So yes, I did not provide receipts to back my claim. This is not by accident or an attempt to tell lies about my story. My first reason was so Blair couldn't pick apart my records and falsify the truth. The second reason is due to some of the information regarding the car and my employment and its
How many of you think sad milk would still be a thing if it wasn't for Blair poisoning the well? It wasn't just poisoning the well that sunk sad milk, it was her trying to control everything. So even if she hadn't poisoned the well, if she'd still been a controlling freak, maybe she still would have driven all the guys away.
possession.
Ironically,
Some of that
Sad
information
Milk probably would be still a thing if Blair wasn't in Sad Milk.
Yeah.
is part of a pending legal matter, and I did not want it to become front and center online. But since Blair has made this information known, I will be providing receipts for that topic as well. So while initially I was anecdotal, today I'm going to show you every receipt I have that not only combats, disproves, or proves my claims, but also debunks her narrative that my friend, Oz Media, has been supporting her throughout this. I'd like to note that in Blair's video, she does not show or touch base on the majority of Oz Media's Twitter thread, unlike The Click, One Topic, and I. I'd like to keep these screenshots up for a moment for you to read at your own discretion.
Oh yeah, that's right. She didn't touch it at all. She just immediately switched the emotional manipulation at the end. But she didn't address anything that Oz actually said. Maybe we should take a minute and go look at that. Alright. Oz Media. Twitter.
It shouldn't be hard to find. Oz does not seem to, like, actually post super frequently.
I like that. Oh, I love the possums. Okay, April.
I think you just scroll past it,
Oh, wait.
I think.
I thought it was the 23rd.
I guess.
Oh. Wait, no. Maybe? Hang on.
Well, let's show on the video.
Oh, here we go. I think it's time that I actually speak out on the current Twitter threads regarding sad milk in 2020 to 2021. I can't express how scared I am to do this, the fear I have in my gut to speak out. However, I do feel it's important to say my piece on this subject matter. Hang on. Okay. Yeah, it's a mess, but the tweet threads posted by Wonder and Click and what they have stated about sad milk is the truth. I will be adding those threads below. The whole project was a mess from start to finish. I really wish I didn't need to do this. But with the flurry of DMs I've been getting, I don't have a choice but to speak out. Blair, I'm sorry, but you have hurt me. I need to speak without being told by you, "Oh, I'm just the villain, I'm always in the wrong," or something along those lines. Words I have heard from you consistently. I want to be heard for once. I need to clear my mind and conscience after holding this in for 2 years. Forgive me, but it's what needs to be done. When looking at the whole of the project, it was mostly controlled and run by Blair. Her main worry was that because of her, in her words, lack of personality, she felt as though her contribution to sad milk needed to be the managerial bureaucracy behind the scenes to justify her presence. This led to a defensive approach when anyone would attempt to assist with the nitty-gritty behind the scenes, despite her claiming that no one wanted to help her. Well, that's how she victimizes herself. She has to imply that nobody wants to help her, but then when people offer to help her, the control stuff peeks out and she's like, no, I have to do everything myself. Go away. One of the factors she claims to be the final nail in the coffin of Sad Milk. Blair was indeed the aggressor. She always has been. As an example of this behavior, look at the Legal Eagle situation. Yep, she was the first one to reach out. Blair has a habit of starting fights, but will almost never publicly apologize if proven wrong. She will instead hide behind a private apology, probably, and from my perspective, act as though this makes everything better. After all, she would express to me that admitting error would only make her look stupid and weak. Wow. That's a take. 1 second. Gotta push my hair out of my face. Yeah. This will be followed by her blocking people on Twitter, silencing her detractors through YouTube channel bans, deleting comments, and putting her accounts on the down low to prevent interaction. For example, on Sad Milk, she would blacklist former collaborators from being mentioned, but manually approve hateful comments toward them, which in my opinion were specifically ones which instead praised her or the remaining members, including me. This is her MO. It has modus operandi. It has been for the 4 years that I've known her. It actually perfectly ties into how we first met and began to be on speaking terms in April of 2019. Sad Milk was very much like this. At the first sign of dissonance, her response was to have me confront One Topic and Click with this list of talking points in an attempt to show them just how wrong they were, which I accepted. This brings me to, well, me. What is missing from both Click and Wonder's threads is the fact that I acted as Blair's frontrunner. Anything Blair needed to say went through me first, essentially act as a spokesman. This was actually a common factor in our relationship. I would always act as a filter to keep her out of drama or from saying things which would be seen as offensive or kindle for a larger fire. I stopped doing this in... Wow. So, not a translator, but like a dampener almost. I stopped doing this in January. This does not excuse me from protecting her for this long, but it is the truth. I could take the approach and say I was manipulated, which perhaps I was, but I still knew what I was doing was wrong. I always did, and it always hurt. It left a huge black mark on my spirit and my ability to feel comfortable in my own skin. I had moved to Colorado, got a house, and lived with her at the time. She was in my life every day, and I would hear these theories and villainous explanations directed at anyone who wronged her. It was hard to avoid, let alone not fall for them. I believed it was my responsibility to protect my friend from something that, in my view, was clearly hurting her, something that I felt was eating at her and making her daily life worse. Things which, in hindsight, could have been solved with a conversation, but she was unwilling. Instead, the conspiring, backstabbing, and rumor machine were put into full swing. I, much as Wonder and Salty, were forced by Blair to choose between her or Click and One Topic. Of course, I chose the person I lived with. What was I going to do? Move again? I mean, I could have. Once I chose my side, I was met with praise and adoration from her and her mod staff. It, at the time, felt like I was making the right decision. Fuck, man. Boy, I was wrong. I've lost so many friends, isolated myself, been at her side despite feeling like my connections to the world were being severed. I always acted as her talking piece, from yelling at One Topic to berating Click and other things I did in service of someone who at the time I believed every word of. I trusted Blair to hell and back and thought I was doing good. I have learned since then, through both self-reflection and conversations with old friends, just how much I was unintentionally, hopefully, used. There, of course, is more, much more than I could ever hope to cram into the stupid fucking Twitter thread that I know I'm going to get angry DMs and phone calls over. Blair, I need you to know that you hurt me more than you realize. I know you're scanning this and having your team read it over, maybe even looking at sending me a legal threat as you parade around to do so, but I want you to apologize for once in your life and take accountability. Please, Please, Blair, you would rather paint the world red than admit you have fault. Okay. Damn. Okay, now we have the context from Oz.
There will also be a link to it down below. I believe when you want people to know the truth and form opinions of either side, you should come forward with both stories. It's why I don't harbor any hatred or resentment towards anyone who holds a negative opinion of me after watching your video. I've been there. I've done that. We all have probably done that once or twice on the internet. It's literally the internet. And even after this, if you don't like me or agree with me, I have a personal bias, obviously, because it involves me, but I'll respect your opinion nonetheless. But before I say anything, I'd like to state a few things. Something else that I believe is very important. Whether you hate someone or not, to bring up someone's personal mental health as an arguing point is quite frankly a low blow. And it's not your story to tell. If anyone's going to explain my mental health, it is personally going to be me. You can argue I was doing the same when I revealed the state of her home, but I'd like to note that Blair has a dog named Casper that suffers from a disease known as pica.
Casper is being discussed due to Blair making mention of my dog James, which we'll okay.
Blair has mentioned on numerous times that she takes care of a special needs dog.
Wait. Pica. Isn't pica the tendency to eat non-food things? Yeah, non-nutritional substances that provide no physical benefit to the animal. Isn't that like a really common dog thing? Like, I've known dogs that eat literal shit. Okay, whatever.
I'll have the definition here on the screen, but essentially it's a disorder where a dog grows anxious at times and eats random objects.
Okay.
This is not a safe environment for a dog to live in. Before I speak further, I'd like to provide a trigger warning involving the topics of pedophilia and harm towards children. If you're not comfortable, you may click off or head to the timestamp provided on screen.
Yeah, living the way she is, where like all that shit and clutter is around, that's a bunch of shit the dog could eat.
Will not be going in depth on the allegations
That's why it became
against
such a prominent talking point.
Click. Click has made a very thorough video which you can find in the description below if you'd like to watch, where he disproves these rather disgusting claims made towards him. But a personal question I would like to ask. If Blair had the information and documented evidence on a Discord server that, as she depicted, cultivated files, and truly believe this, why did she wait 3 years to come forward? Why did she allow the click on Sadmilk or play games with him in the free time? Why did she put a link for help for anyone affected by such actions of child grooming, yet didn't use her platform to speak up on a server and creator that is active to this day? If she were to argue a fear of retaliation, what is the reason? She makes content bringing light to the horrors of companies pretty much every week. Arguably, if she knew this was ongoing, knew the extent, and then said nothing, she would have arguably by proxy been responsible for any further victims in such a server. One more subject I'd like to touch base on is the call that took place between Blair, OT, and the Click, and a Reddit post that I made following their departure. I was indeed present for this call. This was a meeting designed to iron out the differences in tension in Sadmilk, as not only did our audience deserve it, but we as friends deserve it to ensure our friendship lasted. During this call, Blair began to become highly irritable and raised tensions where they did not need to be raised. I'd like to clarify that OT did not speak over her out of disrespect, but out of a minor Discord delay, to which she said, and I quote, "Shut the f*** up and let me talk for once." I remember it clearly. It was very nasty, and it was the first fatal blow to Sadmilk and the events that transpired and led up to today. OT, rightfully, left the call without a word at this point. Click, however, tried to remain in the call and mitigate his intentions were for the betterment of the group, but Blair kept berating him. I have never heard Click, a very extroverted and talkative man, remain so quiet. I know I'm trying to read this off a script, but if I only had one way to describe this call, it was a very dark call. OT departed in the following days. After this, Click departed from Sadmilk as well. Audience members grew confused about this, so she took to Reddit to falsify a narrative which you can read on screen. I joined in as well on this. I explained how those who departed did not help us in numerous ways, and that it all fell onto us. I'd like to point out that I directly lied on this post. Click, One Topic, and the others did in fact assist in Sadmilk greatly, but they were growing increasingly frustrated and burnt out as what had started as a fun project of friends had turned into a content farm. We were trying to cram recordings in, take time out of our lives, and make content we didn't enjoy at this point. But where this reached its climax of enough is enough was when members would take time out of their day to show up to recordings upon their own busy channels and lives, only to find video and audio recordings of entire Sad Milk episodes had been deleted due to quote-unquote not being good enough. I believe this context is needed and sheds much needed light on a post I made out of malice towards my former colleagues. I believed Blair had my best interest at heart and was being thorough with me. I have since been proven that this was far from the case. It's time we set the record straight on the matter. As stated before, I've since been proven.
So from Illuminati, I would actually like to clear this up. The only thing the Milkmen did, any of them as a whole, was show up to a recording that I had to create a schedule for. So, oh, right, say funny words, upload their audio to a drive that I manage. I did all post collections. Okay, so yes, we did read this.
Proven that this was far from the case. It's time we set the record straight on the matter. As stated before, my name is Wonder, and this is my response to Blair's Illuminati Exposed. Thank you for being here, and I appreciate you taking the time to hear both sides of the story. In Blair's video, she mentions how she bore the brunt of a lot of the behind-the-scenes works to Sad Milk due to nobody stepping up to the plate to support her. One specific issue she brought to the table in particular was late payments on behalf of the contracted talent of Sad Milk. As I have seen other milkmen and their bank statements, I'd like to focus on her allegations directed towards me in regards to delayed payments. Here is the precise quote referenced.
And I also got stuck footing the bill too. What quickly transpired was that members either couldn't or wouldn't reimburse me for the editors.
I'd like to state that this quote is both chronologically and directly false, and it paints me as a rather greedy and avoidant person, which is not who I am. As I stated in my Twitlogger, which once more you can find in the description, in my span of Sad Milk, I edited roughly 3 to 5 Sad Milk videos. Sad Milk was a channel that lasted almost over a year. I was not an active editor, so to say I paid editors via my own edits is inaccurate. I did not become an editor to cover my share of the joint editing fees. During the time in which Sad Milk became a project, I was living paycheck to paycheck in my first apartment. I was barely 19 and food was pretty much an every other day kind of deal. I'm sure anyone who has had an apartment or been young or on their feet working 2 jobs, you know this life. You know this story. It's been said and done a million times. And yet I always paid my share. I put Sad Milk above my own health because I truly believed in the project. How I came to even edit a single Sad Milk video was when I was in a Discord call with the Sad Milk members, and while we were all chatting, having a good time, I, in my free time, edited a small little demo using all of our sprites.
Everyone, welcome to Sad Milk.
today. Oh, sorry.
No!
Welcome to Sad Milk. I was then offered, hey, if you want to edit a video, we'd be happy to pay you. I was such a new creator and I was so new to contract work itself that I personally thought $20 was fair pay for my work after my initial payment that I asked for was Burger King because I just wanted dinner. Obviously, I was compensated more than that for that video. After about 3 months in, Sad Milk became profitable though. So while yes, Blair did pay for edits, she was always reimbursed for this. As you can see stated on the screen, you will find bank statements I made directly to Sad Milk during its infancy. Blair's response to this and her closing thoughts on Sad Milk are quoted as the following.
To all of the members of Sad Milk, I just want to say that I'm very sorry that I caused you stress throughout this project.
I'd ask that you remember this quote as I believe, through my own biased lens, that this apology contradicts itself several times throughout this video. But with that, we wrap up the mention of Sad Milk and we now move on to the mention of me, Wonder.
A very convenient series of videos resurfaced with him saying some not so savory things after he left Sad Milk. I was actually unaware of those videos at the time of our friendship, but had I been aware of them, that friendship would have likely ended sooner. When those videos surfaced, it wasn't really all that shocking to me, as Ozmedia and I had actually talked about how Click had been using the R slur while we played games together.
Yep, there you go.
Talked about how Click had been using the R slur while we played games together.
This is a direct contradiction. Blair claims that if she had known Click had used the R word in the past, she would have ended their friendship. Yet goes on to claim that her and Oz had heard him use such language numerous times while playing games. You would not have needed the videos to resurface. If this was the case, you would have known of the issue. Yep.
Now, I feel the best way to do this would be to start with some quotes, and I'll shed light on my thoughts on said quotes.
A lot of it is fairly tricky since he hinges his accusations on anecdotal commentary. In responding to his baseless claims, I will provide evidence as
bitch, so do you.
Necessary, as well as point out when things I mention are anecdotal.
After hearing this part of the video, I'd like to know a few things. Yes, my original tweet thread
also, you hinge so much of your shit on emotional manipulation as well, so
was very anecdotal aside from the photo of the living conditions, which as I mentioned, we will touch base on later in the video. And as I stated before, I felt holding the cards in my hand, as well as not speaking on something that could very well encroach into legal matter territory, was in my best interest. I had been Blair's friend for years. I expected her to try to do something where she would try to twist the narratives. At least, in my experience, that is what I have seen in the past. So while yes, I was very word of mouth, however, it was not my intention to remain word of mouth. That is untrustworthy, and never in a million years would that back up any of the claims that I am here to bring forward. Moving on to the next section I'd like to touch base on, we are going to go over her discussion of my employment. Now, I'd like to note that the discussion of employment will come back around as she gets into another section surrounding legalities, which ties in towards the end of my employment.
Let's start with Wonder's accusation of wage theft. That's a big one, and it's important. During December 2020, like all of the members of Sad Milk, Wonder was considered a contractor. On December 24th, 2020, at 5:39 a.m., I received a message from Wonder letting me know that he took a shot at reworking a video that had already been edited by a different contractor. I want to clarify, I did not ask him to do this. This was something he did of his own accord. I don't want to claim to know what goes on in Wonder's personal life. Claiming that he missed Christmas with his brother and father, I just don't know how that's possible when the video was finalized early morning on Christmas Eve.
You claim you don't know what goes on in my personal life, but you go in depth about my living situation, my views on life, my depression, my car, my dog, and my mental health. I don't mean this in an antagonizing manner. Let's just call a spade a spade. As for missing Christmas, you raise a very good point, and without context, I can understand where your confusion would arise, so hopefully I can clear this up for you. I'd like to paint a picture here if you allow me to do so. December is one of the most important months as a creator. For those of you who don't know, there are better or worse months to post to YouTube due to when advertisers are most willing to pay, and most advertisers are wanting to put their highest performing ads on videos during the holiday months such as Christmas. This equals a higher CPM, which for those of you who are in the creator space, it will all just kind of water down to this. Higher paying ads plus more videos equals more push equals more money in your pocket. It's a lot of boring stuff, puts food on the table, pays your bills. That's all you need to know. At this time, I was a full creator. I didn't make crazy amounts of money, but I made enough to live on my own terms. During December, I was churning out content for my own channel. I needed it as a small growing channel and as someone who needed to pay his bills. However, our editors were short in the month of December, so what Blair fails to mention in her video, I will clarify. December 21st, I had just completed a Sad Milk video that took me 16 hours give or take to make. I had pulled an all-nighter to do so, as we had discussed trying to have a stronger pull for the holiday months. A few days prior, I had just pulled yet another all-nighter to get a video out for the 19th on my own personal channel. We had an editor who had been tasked to complete a Sad Milk vlog that was intended to go up December 24th. Blair had hired this editor. She never once, as far as my knowledge, checked in on this editor to see his progress with said video. Where I grew worried is that as far as I knew, I had never seen this editor do any work for Sad Milk, and we were really coming up on the deadline of the 24th. On December 23rd, after starting another project and working through the entire day putting a dent into my own personal edit, I got into bed only to find that Oz had received the video from the editor. I took a look at the video, asked an unbiased source their opinion, and we all agreed that the video had major issues for a supposed finished product. These issues included scuffed audio, poor audio leveling, unnecessary edits that made relatively no relation to the edit itself, followed by long periods of dead air for an increased watch time push. I do not mean this as an insult. It resembled a home movie gone bad rather than a fleshed out project for a channel that had almost 200,000 subscribers. I knew this was a severe problem for two reasons. First, the deadline for the upload was the following morning. Second, this video was expensive and intended since November to be a Christmas Eve video. The video in reference was a Sad Milk gingerbread house building competition where we all flew out to Colorado. Blair purchased a large amount of items for said video, such as microphones, gingerbread houses, and Santa hats, all that material you need to make a gingerbread house. I'd like to add that Blair intended to use these expenses as a tax write-off, so it wasn't a total loss. We were all contracted for an entertainment company. In order for this to be a tax write-off, we would need to produce a video to prove as such. So now we have to think of the perception of Sad Milk, a project that represented all of our names. This puts us in a position with very limited options. We either let down the audience and post a very scuffed video that would exhibit a lack of care for the content we were making, which was not ideal given we had just lost half our members. We delay the video, which ties in with the first issue as our Christmas Eve video, which would either get out the 26th or the 27th at the earliest due to our available editors. Or we scrap the video, which leaves Blair out of money regardless, but now we have also wasted an entire trip visiting another state, and there are a bunch of expenses that can't qualify as a tax write-off. So I got out of bed after working all day, and I took my best shot at reworking a video in a style I was not familiar with.
One sec. I'm gonna take a break real quickly. Go grab my toothbrush because my teeth feel fuzzy and gross. Oh, hi, Demona. I'm sorry. I did not mean to spook you. Don't worry. I'm so...
And we're back to just the two of us. Well, the one of me and the rest of you. So, hello, chat.
Munchkin.
Probably not for long, though. Just the one.
I keep myself awake. I'm getting tired. God damn.
up roughly until 5 a.m. working on that video, and I waited to make sure it was good to upload and that we had the okay. I did this to avoid those negative outcomes I just listed. My sleep schedule was beyond screws, so by the time I went to bed later that night, I slept due to pure exhaustion until well into the early afternoon of Christmas Day. To add to this, my family does not see each other very often, so for us to be in one room is a very rare thing. I had not seen my brother in almost a year, and I know Christmas is important to my father. Since we can't all spend an entire day together as we all have our own various lives, we plan to spend the morning of Christmas together. Obviously, it did not pan out that way. I'd like to add that no, Blair did not directly ask me to make this rework. However, Blair had made it clear in the last few months, especially when Click and OT left, that she felt she had no help with the channel, that she felt the responsibility fell onto her. This was me helping her. Not just her, but a project I dearly cared about. I'd like to now focus on my pay. I said I was not paid until half a month after. This, I will admit, was anecdotal mostly. Blair said I was paid on a bi-weekly SadMilk basis. At this time, SadMilk was making money, just not a whole lot of it after editorial expenses. So typically I could see a check for $80 to $140 every month. As for editing, I had negotiated $500 per edit as Oz helped me realize my worth as an editor, and as for compensation,
That's vastly fucking different than what Blair said.
for me not being a full-time editor. I'd like to add that in part of what I agreed for edits, I would do additional sprite movement, motion, and scene creation. This was painstaking to do, but this was also a quality result I would bring to the table of this channel while also working on my own channel. The editor we hired to the vlog, to my knowledge, was to be paid $200 for their edit. However, since I reworked the video last minute, I was to be compensated with $100, which I believe was fair pay. So I'd like for us to view the following bank statements, two in particular, one on January 29th, 2021 for $125, and another on February 29th, 2021 for $600. Now, I tried to dig deeper, but this just says a transaction from a bank occurred. I'd like to state that at first, I believed I was receiving SadMilk payments via PayPal, so I tried to find an old email. Since I was making a fair amount of money, I would usually just let money stack into my PayPal and I would take it all out at once. And you can see right here that this is what a statement like that would look like in my bank account. At this time, I worked full-time, so my only income was from Google AdSense, Twitch, and SadMilk. While it has been a long time, if I remember correctly, these payments would numerically and chronologically line up with SadMilk and editor payments. It is the only possible source of this income that makes sense, which then shows me, for the month of January, I actually only received one SadMilk payment if that's the case, and it also distinctly shows that I was in fact paid separately as both SadMilk talent and an editorial talent. I'd like to note that these payments are over the course of 1 to 2 months, not a month and a half. At the beginning of January, you can see I was paid $100 from this income source. That would make sense given half of the $200 video would, yes, be $100. However, if you look at the month of December, I did not receive one payment from SadMilk, so I would assume unless SadMilk just did very poorly that month and we made absolutely zero income, as I did not manage these channels' finances, this payment would be the SadMilk payment for December. And if it was for fixing the video, why was I clearly paid the $600 here followed by the prior regular SadMilk bank statement, $500 being for the original video I did and $100 being for the video I corrected? I had someone else take a look at the calendar, and if these payments were bi-weekly and I had a pay period beginning on the 1st, my pay period should have seen payments starting from the 1st, followed by the 15th, the 29th, which is correct, but we were missing a pay period, the 12th, then the 26th, but I was paid on the 19th. You can argue that SadMilk was performing bad financially, which resulted in delayed or no payments by this time, as we had not uploaded since December and views did in fact dwindle. But that begs the question, if the payment of $600 is an editor payment, which I'd argue is because SadMilk itself and its contractors never saw an amount that large in its history, why am I being paid for it not half a month late, but almost 2 months late? My only other theory is that these payments were in a source such as PayPal, where I could allow the funds to store up then deposit. However, it would still be delayed and show I was paid separately as an editor and contracted talent for SadMilk.
During this time, he would often tell both Oz Media and myself how living in Austin, Texas was a nightmare for him. He would often complain about his roommates being terrible people, his friends being mostly terrible people and unmotivated to do well in life, and how his car was always breaking down and how his channel was not going in the direction he wanted. And then he talked about that last bit of family that he had moving away, and he was essentially alone. I won't speak on behalf of Oz, but I know I was moved by Wonder's stories.
So I'd like to clarify here. Yes, I didn't like living where I lived. I live, as Blair stated, in Austin, Texas, and I don't mean to be humorous here given the severity of this video, but it's like, man, the people who live here hate living here. It's just like a thing. Like, I'm gonna maybe go get some groceries today. You gotta wait like 5 hours in line behind rows and rows of traffic. You wanna go to the park, you gotta drop like $15 just to touch grass because you gotta pay for parking. It's like a meme here that if you see a cardboard box, like any person who's from here will point it and be like, oh yeah, that looks like it would go for $2,300. There's many great things about this place, but it's for a very niche particular crowd of people, which I do not fall in line with that. As for my roommates, I only had one roommate, and he's one of my best friends who I would do literally anything for. Have I gotten annoyed with him? Yes. Who hasn't been annoyed with any friend in their life? I'm sure I've done plenty of things to piss him off. Is he a terrible person? Never in a million years, so I don't know why this is even really being brought up. I think the times where I got most annoyed was where there were 2 incidences where I accidentally got locked out of the house, and he sleeps like you could probably fire a ballistic missile next to this man and he would sleep through it. So I ended up having to sleep in my car twice, and there was dishes out and stuff we've all made the same mistake of in the past, okay? He's not a terrible person, and neither are my friends. And no, I wouldn't say that my friends are unmotivated in life. I would say that during this time, I was really wanting to move forward with content and really get into creating full time, which I was already doing, but I wanted to take it a step further. I wanted this to be my life. And my friends, obviously, because everyone has different goals and dreams, do not share this sentiment. It wasn't that they were unmotivated, it's that I just was losing that connection of, hey, y'all don't really get what I'm doing, I don't really get what you're doing, and it sucks, but that's just how friends are, you know? You're not gonna relate forever with every single thing you and your friends do. As for my car was not breaking down constantly. I had a 2011 sedan. The only thing I didn't like about it was that somebody rear-ended the back and it looked like it was dented in. It looked like someone took a massive fist to the back of the car. I have never had one maintenance issue
When your car gets fisted.
on that car. In fact, my brother still owns the car to this day. My channel was actually going in a really good direction. At this time, I was starting to pull a lot of steady views, but the narrative behind the closed doors and sad milk was that we should all be moving away towards Reddit content and getting into video essay type content like Blair. It was a very known thing behind closed doors where we would insult and belittle anyone who still did Reddit, while Oz and I actually were still doing Reddit. So it developed into a resentment towards my own content, which my audience liked, but I now was finding that
Shut up, chat. You didn't hear a thing.
I despised what I did.
Without going into personal details, I was pretty horrified by what he had explained happened in his past. I was saddened by how he constantly talked about how bad his life was and how he felt like a failure. He said he felt alone, depressed, and uncertain of the future. And at that point, I knew I wanted to help him in whatever way I could.
I feel this is very contradictory to say without going into personal details than to turn around and spread personal details about my views towards life. Again, these were very private things I kept between you. Yes, I suffer from depression. A lot of people do. And oftentimes that can skew your view towards life itself. The only time I ever really felt like a failure was when I constantly was compared via Social Blade, etc., and told how much better I could be doing if I did XYZ. It made me feel like I was underachieving as a small channel.
At the end of 2020, I paid for his tickets to visit Oz and me in Colorado. During this trip, we discussed the possibility of Wonder moving out to Colorado due to his discontent with his life in Texas. Oz Media and I had just moved into his newly purchased home in April 2021, and he decided to welcome Wonder into his house. Unless Oz Media was doing so without my understanding, Wonder was not charged any rent, utilities, or internet for sharing our living space.
Yes, we had actually discussed a payment plan for rent. What Blair leaves out, and what I find very perplexing as to why she left out in her video, is that the reason I didn't pay rent was because I was going to become Blair's tenant. Not once does she mention throughout this video that when I first had the discussion of moving to Colorado, it was because Blair wanted to get her hands into the real estate market and wanted to build a home, something she had discussed with other former Sad Milk members. It wasn't just me. I made a reasonable first tenant. I was someone she knew, and I obviously made income, so kind of put 2 and 2 together. You can say this is a good deed on the surface, and it most certainly appears that way. I'll get into how over time Blair would have controlled every aspect of my life via transportation, income, and housing. I sincerely do not understand why the conception of this home was never presented in the video. It leaves out a massive gap of context. The home, I was told, would be finished by August, and then I could stay the summer. And the last month before moving to Colorado, after finalizing my lease, I was informed that the home would be pushed back until December. This made me highly uncomfortable, which you can see the dates in these private DMs between Oz and a friend of mine who until December. It's made me
I know I said I was cool with it, but if I'm being real, I am somewhat uneasy about staying until December. I didn't want to say anything since I was worried I'd sound rude since you two have been nothing but generous to me. I just am worried that I am in a place for 6 months that I'll be hella distracted. I'm such an independent person, so it'll feel weird to be downstairs in somebody else's house for so long. It's probably just something I need to work through. I do still want to move to Colorado, just letting you know where my head is at.
Highly uncomfortable, which you can see the dates in these private DMs between Oz and a friend of mine who will remain.
I also just miss feeling independent. This was post move during July, June, more on this later. I also just miss feeling independent And living rent-free for 6 months, which I did not sign up for, is making me feel like a burden and sick. I really feel I am losing touch with myself, and I am not sure who I am at the moment.
Anonymous. I have always been a very independent person. I have never had someone else pay my rent once in my life, and I have been living on my own since I was 18. To try to paint me as a freeloader when you also leave out that I was originally only supposed to stay until August, you were supposed to be my landlord, and that I only stayed 30 days in Colorado feels like a contorted attack on who I am as a person. While I was in their home, if I
He only stayed a month?
Yeah. That is what he said.
Didn't know how to help, I would oftentimes clean their home. I wanted to help Blair with her recording space as she felt stressed in her little office. I wanted to buy us plants to liven the place up. I tried at every possible turn to earn my keep. And when I felt alienated, I tried to actively find an apartment in Colorado Springs to give them both the space, as I felt horrible, seemingly never being able to help in any way at all. It was beyond unfair. I made every effort to not be a burden, as it is quite frankly one of my biggest fears in my entire life.
I'm Oz. Y'all know me as Oz Media.
Now, during the month of June, I stayed with you, Oz, and Blair. During this time, did Blair provide work to me as an editor? If this wasn't a case, did you ever witness me personally trying to assist Blair in anything else?
Like, yeah, I mean, you weren't provided work for like a majority of the time that you were actually employed. I think we were also working on like Thinkology at the time, but like nothing really came out of that besides a couple recordings, and you ended up not really wanting to pursue that. So there wasn't like any work that she had actually given you part of the company. You were kind of just literally
Singular month. I would have thought he lived there for longer. Yeah, it's very akin to the Click thing, where it happened over the course of like a couple hours, but Blair has implied that it took place over months.
being paid to like stand around. I might be wrong on this, but you actively did try to like assist her with her like the candle shop that she was just starting up, and I mean she didn't like that, but you were actively trying to seek out and find work, so it's not like you were just like freeloading off of it. You, from my memory, you were trying to actually earn your keep.
Blair proceeds to go on an explanation as to how well her channel was doing and that she felt grateful to be in a position to help someone she cared deeply about. On June 7th, 2021, I was hired by Blair starting at $50,000 a year, as she stated, which was a number that seemed rather life-changing to me. At face value, I'm sure anyone who saw this viewed me as someone who had to cut a few clips together and everything was happily ever after. That is what I personally expected. However, I will explain that this was not the case regarding my employment, as I was soon to find out.
During his employment, he never took advantage of any of the benefits that were made available to him.
The reason I did not use any of these benefits was because I was employed for roughly 60 days. I had just moved to another state. I barely even knew the roads and where to even go to eat. I wasn't focused on doctor visits, the dentist, and unless I turn 85 years old, I can't really use my 401k. The only thing that I can think of was the groceries that the LSA covers, but as I stated before, I'm a rather independent person, so I didn't need Blair to particularly buy me groceries. I also find it unnecessary that she goes out of her way to explain the volunteer reimbursement program she has. If I didn't use any of the benefits, why is it necessary to go into detail about them? Was I expected to, in the middle of moving to a new state for the first time since I was 7, volunteer at a soup kitchen to pass the time?
No, it's to make her look more altruistic. So it's just like, look, I offered all this help, and like, it's his fault for not taking it. Although I would like to point out, like, all this shit that she's offering is like additional help and benefits and whatnot. I wouldn't have known about this shit when I was 19. Maybe he didn't know about this shit when he was 19. Like, for all we knew, he didn't take advantage of it, like, because he didn't know it was the thing, or he didn't know how to. Like, how the fuck do we know? She's framing it like it's a weird thing, or it's a bad thing, or like it says something about her that she offered it, and like, he didn't take advantage, he didn't take her up on her kindness, but it's so fucking stupid.
You would think. So, for someone who covers like a bunch of MLMs and stuff, who tend to prey on people who don't know much better, you'd think she'd be more transparent about that stuff.
You would think. It's almost like she's... Shit, what are they called? The people troll shielding. She's troll shielding.
I don't know. I don't think troll shielding is the proper word here.
No?
But...
I thought that's when you pretend to be one of... Wait. No, I'm thinking of the one where you pretend to be very vocal against them, but in reality you are the very same thing behind the scenes. Like the people who are like pedo catchers or pred hunters or whatever, who then get outed for like diddling kids. Like that shit. I don't think it's called troll shielding, but like something, whatever that is. It's that.
for Wonder to edit was dependent on me being able to live stream. During this time, I unfortunately only had 2 streams for him to work on, which Wonder would have been able to produce about 4 videos from. Wonder did not meet the deadlines for either stream. Despite this, I kept him on payroll, I continued his pay, even
Performative is probably the word you're looking for, yeah.
though no work had ever been completed. Although there was only a minuscule amount of work for Wonder to do, he still managed to act up within company spaces. He made inappropriate comments on forms that were visible to other employees, he didn't complete tasks that were assigned to him, and he failed to follow company protocol. I have a strict policy regarding formal disciplines, and within his short time of working with me, he had already met the criteria for termination.
After hearing this, I'd assume you'd attribute me as someone with a very poor work ethic, and I
The
honestly...
criteria for termination is someone that I cannot manipulate to the fullest extent of my satisfaction.
would not blame you. However, while Blair is being very anecdotal here, I'd like to provide receipts that prove the following. Proof that I was not kept on payroll and I was fired before my deadline even happened. These were not short clips. The comment that I made on a forum that was grounds for termination, Blair leaving out how long it took her to actually provide content to edit, Blair leaving out that I had asked for work and
Discord message from Oz Media snipped due to sensitive topic and full message. You were always trying to find work, including working for her candle company.
various other aspects, my deadline extension due to my computer editing software corrupting, not me being lazy, me flying to another state to meet said deadlines with plane tickets provided, and again, proof that I was fired before my deadline.
Okay, you have until August 2nd, so don't rush the project. We plan to put out the Blizzard video first, due to it being more of a hot topic. I made sure you had plenty of time to get the issues. Okay, so July. I was still under the impression that you wanted the first video completed by this upcoming Monday, and then the Pet Finder Porsche by August 2nd, and yet the Blizzard is kind of a big mess right now. Nope, I need GRC Part 1 August 2nd. I'm assuming, okay?
Even happened. Before we begin, I'd like to state that I was informally fired on a phone call July 27th, and that I received my final severance letter.
I processed your final check today to be mailed out to the address in Austin that you provided for me. Yeah, before August 2nd. He failed to meet the deadline, but you fired him before the deadline, so how do you know that he wouldn't have met the deadline?
July 30th. As you can see here in private DMs with an editorial manager, my deadline was extended to August 2nd. I was fired within my deadline. To add context, Blair not streamed for the entire month of June and
Correction. Blair streamed.
Extended to August 2nd. I was fired within my deadline. To add context, Blair not
The 26th. This is a Blizzard stream that was being worked on by
streamed for the entire month of June, and come the further end of mid-July, she had finally streamed. I was given one stream that would result in 2 videos having 20-minute plus durations on both videos. So for context, these were not short clips, rather 20 to 40-minute chunks of content.
Yeah, she was all like, yeah, he can make videos.
Durations on both videos. So for
fucking editors flesh out their own time frames. I was able to turn the first video. Wait, he made 3 videos for her in 60 days? Damn.
Context, these were not short clips, rather 20 to 40-minute chunks of content, which is exactly what I signed up for. This in itself was not a problem. However, upon getting far into making the video, my editing software corrupted.
Okay, I'm having a severe issue with this laptop at the moment. My software keeps freezing and crashing. I literally am unable to edit at the moment. Okay.
Said in a statement that it was pleased with
Note that the video plays, but the timeline remains frozen. I uninstalled, reinstalled, contacted support, everything I could do. My PC would later go on to suffer a fatal GPU error the following year.
the ruling which would allow it to continue to use treatment. So that's from this article.
I was staying with my dad in Texas, which we'll touch base on why in a little bit here, and only had my laptop, which had never had an issue before. I had had this laptop for roughly, I want to say, a year at this point. Never once had I run into a software corrupting issue. So I reached out to an editorial manager explaining the situation. They asked that I take PTO, but instead I held off because Oz Media said he could get my PC fixed. I was running out of time, but my deadline initially was July 26th. So last second, I flew to Colorado to get my computer just so I could turn around and fly back. It was at this time I had noticed I was locked out of the editor files, which I found odd given that I was still within my deadline, but I didn't exactly know what was happening. I just had figured it was an error at the time. I'd like to make note that the other editorial manager explained to me that my deadline at this time had actually been extended to August 2nd. The editorial manager reached out to me on the 26th saying we needed to talk. For one reason or another, this conversation got pushed to July 27th. I believe this was just due to a simple scheduling conflict. I believe by the time I was able to take a call, that like when I had seen the message, they were busy for the rest of the day, so it just got pushed over to July 27th. It wasn't like I was like ducking the calls like, oh my goodness, course, it was here on this call that I was fired for explicitly not meeting deadlines, which I find highly confusing due to, once more, I must reiterate that my deadline was August 2nd. Not to be redundant, but I'd like to remind you that I flew to another state just to meet this deadline for my boss, who was constantly subtweeting about me. You can see is acknowledged even by one of her own managers, and they told me specifically that this was not okay behavior. A few days later, after being fired on July 27th, on July 29th, Blair came to Texas to revoke a car in the middle of the night, which she claimed I breached contract, which we will get to in a moment as to how this was not the case. But first, I want to just take a moment that I hope this sheds light into just how far I was willing to go to ensure that these video deadlines were met. I was willing to fly exhausted and tired and not on great terms with my boss to fly to another state just so I could meet a deadline. I sincerely cared about my job, and I feel it is just extremely wrong to paint me in a light as some lazy individual who just didn't care at all. It was extremely hurtful after showing the links I will go to just show that I am a good employee. I wish my computer still worked and that I hadn't deleted these files, because it just seems worse, because it makes it sound like I am being very anecdotal when it's not the case. My laptop literally
no more than Blair was, and yours makes a lot more sense.
just does not turn on anymore, and I didn't think I was ever going to need these videos in particular to prove a point online on the internet about my work ethic. As for the finalized video that I completed on the desktop after my laptop did not work, I don't have that either, because I have reset and rebuilt my computer I don't know how many times, and you can see photos of me right here and tweets about me talking about how many times I have taken a swing at trying to fix this computer. As for the inappropriate comment I made on a forum, I have never heard of this. Blair claims to have a strict policy on discipline, yet why didn't she or her staff ever reach out to me about this problem? Why does she not provide evidence on this comment, and what forum? So I reached out to Oz and I found the answer, and the comment I made was supposed to be grounds for termination. I'd like to reiterate that means a total loss of income to a person. This was along the lines of the comment that I made. If I could be an animal for a day, I would be a furry, and my favorite food would be ass. You can't make this up, man. Total loss of income because I said as a joke, I said I was a furry. I don't know. In regards to my pay on the surface, 50k a year sounds beyond generous for editing a channel. I'd agree. I was personally astounded. I moved my entire life to another state because of this number. I figured I could really make something of myself.
Yeah, which Illuminati probably counted on.
For this type of income. However, I'd like to go back where she mentions the benefits. Blair lists an array of many wonderful benefits that I could receive as an employee. I'd like you now to look at what I earned during each pay period here. Now, I'd like to reiterate, this is at face value. I'm more than willing to stand corrected if I'm wrong here with numbers. You can see here on my screen that the amount of money I made during each pay period was $1,434.24. I made this twice during my employment with Blair. If we do the math on that, we can divide this number by 2 to see how much I made on a weekly basis. $717.12. Say roughly there's 4.25 weeks in a month, $3,047.76 per month. Okay, well that leaves a big question. Where's the rest of the money? So I did some more math. Let's say that everything had gone according to plan and the house Blair built was done in August like it was intended to be. I believe the range for the rent was $1,500 at the time, so around $300-ish for utilities. Now throw in a car that I have to pay Blair for the next 2 years. $588 a month plus $125 for insurance. Now let's add in say $100 a month in gas due to it being a car that relies on premium gas. So after all this is said and done, my take home before food, clothes, leisure would look more like this every month. A grand total of roughly $434.76. However, given that the house wasn't built, this wasn't the case and I was making about $1,000 take home. Well, maybe that isn't so bad. I do in fact have a car, I have a house, and I have a job. However, the one scary thing when you put all that on a spectrum is they are all provided by one singular individual, Blair. She had a hand in every single aspect of my life, and at any moment she could take it away when she felt, which is exactly what happened. Where I could be wrong about the pay itself is where I received my final check at the end of the month for $1,570.60. I was told this was my bi-weekly final pay, which makes sense, but when I signed a severance letter, I also received $1,570. So this was either severance pay or this was the allocated amount I would have made via the LSA every month if that was how that operated. Even reading this aloud, I am still highly confused as to how this payment structure works, as it was never properly explained to me. But even if that were the case, it doesn't change that in order to keep a roof over my head, food on my table, and my dog's bowl and transportation, I had to be walking on eggshells 24/7 due to someone's unpredictable and erratic behavior. There is not, nor will there ever be, a price you can pay me to where I will put up with being a verbal punching bag. It will never happen as long as I live. So if I'm wrong, sure, I would have made some money. Probably net over $1,000 a month, which again isn't bad. But if my numbers are right, I'd be sitting at $717.12, give or take. Times that by 52 weeks in a year, roughly $37,290.24 a year, as I've stated, give or take. So I tried to dig a little deeper into this LSA Blair mentioned. Once more, I'd like to add that I am not entirely versed in legal speak, so I read through the LSA Blair provided in her video, and here is what I could personally gather. Each month I was given a company allowance of $300. If I did not use this money, I would not be allocated these funds, which again, I'd like to note is stated to be entirely optional. If I purchased an item and submitted a receipt, I would be reimbursed this allowance, and if I bought something without the full allowance, I would be allocated, I believe, an additional $100. The smaller payments would appear on my paycheck within 30 days, but larger ones could take upwards of 3 months. But where I have a hard time understanding these numbers is if I use the monthly allowance of the $300, waited and received $300 on my paycheck, my total income would be $1,570.60 if the $1,434.23 was due to me being a new hire. But where I'm having a hard time understanding these numbers is if I use the monthly allowance of $300, waited and received the $300 on my paycheck, my total income would look a little different. We're gonna go off the number of $1,570.60 since the $1,434.23 I believe could be due to me being a new hire, but I am not entirely sure where this number comes from and why it varies between this paycheck right here. $1,570.60 plus $300, that comes out to $1,870.60. But in Blair's video, it stated that I made somewhere near the high 1900s. Well, as it turns out, I was actually able to find a number in this ballpark. I was paid $19.78.38. But if we zoom out, we can see that this was actually my gross pay, meaning again, from what I can understand, my take home in reality was $1,560 per paycheck. So from my understanding, this would mean in order to come close to obtaining my full paid amount, I would have to rely on the LSA, and at most, I would be reimbursed to a maximum of $1,870.60 if I use the maximum allowance every month, then waited in upwards of almost 3 months to see this reimbursement. The only reasoning I can seem to wrap my head around for this would be so the company could have on paper that I made a salary of $50,000 a year, when in actuality, this technically isn't the case. After doing these
Welcome back, Wandering Lost Grays.
numbers and re-looking at them again, I'd like to make a correction to my already made correction. So for my LSA, I would be paid $300 per month, not per paycheck, so my number of $1,870.60 isn't accurate. While yes, I could get paid that amount, the next paycheck would only be $1,570.60 again, as the $300 reimbursement is limited to once per month. This would allocate to a total annual maximum of $3,600. I'd like to bring up once more that the reason I didn't complete tasks was not because of me, but because Blair never provided work until mid to late July, and when I worked, I went above and beyond to ensure it was completed. And again, I was fired within my deadline. I hope this adds some context that was missing from the video. But moving on to our next section, let's speak on legalities. They proceed as such. Blair touches on the subject of a BMW she purchased for me due to my old car dying and wanting to help a friend out. I'd like to clarify I did not ask Blair to do this. In fact, I insisted on our first call the exact opposite. I am not a luxurious person. I like nice things like cozy homes, but the most expensive car I have ever owned was a $5,000 Miata, and that was a surprise gift from my dad after my first car got stolen. I do not desire expensive things, as that just personally is not who I am. Also, as a person who does not like when people buy me things, I was extremely uncomfortable with someone making such a large payment towards a vehicle on my behalf. But
yeah, because it makes you feel indebted to them.
Blair's words, she had the money and insisted that I get the car. After a few more discussions, she eased me into the idea that this car was a good move and would really change my life. I never saw the paperwork on the car. I never did any of the work to obtain the car. The most I did was go into a call with Oz and Blair where I got...
Yeah, the fact that he's then, like, effectively pressured into buying the car when, like, he never asked for it in the first place, that's gross.
To choose seat colors. I had no idea of the process or what I was really genuinely getting myself into, which I don't see how you could argue that I did. I was 21 at the time. I can't think of a single 21-year-old that I know that has gone out and filed paperwork for a $50,000 to $60,000 car.
Yeah.
I did not know what I was doing. However, Blair would oftentimes tell me that she herself had enough money to retire at any given moment. Now, she was a very successful businesswoman, and from the surface, that did seem true. Blair even had a few BMWs of her own, as well as Oz at the time, so I
A few?
trusted my friends who seemed to have it all, and I trusted the process, which again I found out was a very bad mistake. The car itself was delayed, I believe, by 2 weeks, so when it finally arrived, I was pretty happy. I felt like I was beginning life like my friends.
Oh cool, I actually have a new functioning phone, so I can actually do fun video stuff.
However, things in the house were growing fairly grim. I was in therapy at the time and trying to do what I could to help out and also stay out of the way. I felt my brain start to shut down. I could barely function as it was. I would just drive out in my free time to this little trail. I guess you could just call it like a private spot, not really because it's in the public, but it was a little nice cliffside, and I would just hang out there because I didn't have any work at home and I just was not wanted around. I explained my situation to my therapist. It was a pretty similar message I sent to my friend in private. I miss feeling independent, and living rent-free for 6 months, which I did not sign up for, is making me feel like a burden and sick. I really feel like I'm losing touch with myself, and I'm not sure who I am at the moment. I told my therapist at this point that I hadn't felt real in a while, which anyone who has suffered with dissociation and dissociative episodes can all but relate to. I also reiterated how everything was starting to feel rather pointless, and I didn't know what I was that's so lame. I don't like to get emotional, but I didn't know what I was doing wrong. After hearing this, she made it urgently clear that I needed to leave the house immediately. Which again, sorry, I need to calm down. In hindsight, I didn't realize how bad it was getting at the time. Yes, it had just never been that bad. Oh. It's so lame. She said whatever I needed to do, I just needed to go.
I told you, it gets hard to
my
watch.
only options were being in a home with someone who won't even speak to me, as I believe Oz had gone to visit his father at the time, or I could go visit my father and just spend some time with him. So I chose option 2. I explained the situation to my dad, and I ended up leaving to go see my father so I could spend the 4th of July with him and stay a while so I could mentally reset. I also did digital work, and this was not in violation of my employment, as I could work wherever I wanted via laptop. But before going, Blair had me sign her BMW contract she had been meaning to get to me for a while. She was fully aware of my intent to visit my father and stay a while, especially given that, again, I worked remotely. You now know the events that led up to July 29th, where the car was repossessed. You know the story of the deadlines, how I wasn't kept on payroll, how I flew to Colorado to make sure said deadlines occurred, etc., etc. We don't need to fully recap there. As Blair mentioned, she said I was legally bound to this car via contract. However, after I was fired and Colorado was said and done, I had my father, who is an ex-police officer and the former contractor, as well as a lawyer friend of the family, look over and review this legally binding contract. They both agreed that this was in fact not a legally binding contract. I'd like to state that I am not a lawyer and I don't know how that fully works, but let's say for argument's sake the contract was legally binding. Blair claims I broke the contract by the following: no proof of insurance, cars to reside in El Paso County. Okay, well, here's my proof of insurance and here's my official mailing address during this time. You can clearly see it states Colorado. Here again, you can also see that my mailing address has not changed after the repossession. This car was not residing in Texas, as I did not reside in Texas. I lived in Colorado. I'd now like to point to a conversation I had with Oz Media, because Blair and I were not on speaking terms at this time, which was something she herself suggested took place between us. July 28th, 2021, one day before the repossession, Oz and I had a phone call together where I stated I would not be moving back to Colorado. He agreed it was probably the best option for me, as he was still at this time sympathetic towards everything happening. Note again, the car did not reside in Texas, as I did not have a residence in Texas at this time. Upon hearing this, Blair informed Oz that she wanted me to pay something that is known as a depreciation value, which is essentially, it's like, okay, you can't pay for the car, so you're going to pay for the value that the car lost while it was in your possession. I agreed. I didn't want further bad blood. I just wanted this whole situation to be done, as it had caused me enough stress as is. Oz gave me a set of options as to what I could do with a car, and I picked option 2, where it was agreed I would bring the car back to Colorado, gather my belongings, and I'd pay the value via regular payments, etc. However, when I asked to see everything my name was tied to legally with the car, which any person would do, I was met with a copy of the car contract. So I asked again to see the paperwork of the car. This was to ensure I was obtaining an accurate account of the car's value, so I could legally assure what I was paying for. I believe that any person in my position should have done this. It is the only right thing to do to make sure you legally know what you're paying. After this message, I never once got a response. Later in the early hours of July 29th, 2021, Blair flew down to obtain the BMW. Hours after I agreed to pay for the car's appreciation value under the condition that I was paying what was accurate and visible to me. I did not have the text itself, as currently the phone I had at the time suffered, I believe it was a corrupted UI. All I know is I had a Google Pixel, and after some time, I believe last year, I plugged in the phone, gave me a big old question mark when I charged it. So I looked it up and I was like, what does this mean? Essentially, it just meant, yeah, your phone's kind of f***ed, buddy. So if anyone knows how to pull images from a UI corrupted phone, please reach out and contact me, as I will happily provide these texts if I'm able to do so. At roughly 3 a.m., Blair sent me a text stating that I had breached numerous contract violations and that she was in Texas to repossess the vehicle. It goes without saying I was asleep at this time, so obviously I did not see a message that was sent to me at 3 a.m. in the morning. Once I woke up and I saw the messages, I asked Blair for an explanation as to how I breached my contract, to which I was ignored. However, Blair stated she would make arrangements for me to obtain my items. This never took place. I took to Twitter, where I made a tweet regarding what had just happened, and I was immediately reminded by one of Blair's managers that I could not speak out on the matter, and I was threatened with NDA. If I had to explain the feeling, I felt helpless. Again, I just wanted to do the right thing and do it the way I was asked, and now I wake up and all my belongings are gone. I cannot explain how weak that makes a person feel. It feels like just a massive, excuse me here, a massive fuck you for no reason. Blair puts in her drive that the car had bottles, a few wrappers, and some clothes. What she fails to show in her video is my skateboard, both my Sad Milk and Wonderstruck Eye play buttons, my $800 GoPro set, and a whole list of other items I was prohibited from obtaining, which I found out recently from Oz. These items were subsequently thrown in the trash after some time. I'd like to touch on the condition of the car as well. It looks bad, and truthfully, if I saw that, I would turn my head as well. I would think this is a madman who owned this car. But I'd like you to remain open-minded that I was basically living in this car due to not being able to stay in the same house as Blair, as my therapist therapist recommended specifically that I do not do that. I did not have a home to go to, and I was on my dad's couch most of the time.
The therapist that Blair recommended. The one who was like,
Yeah.
yeah, you shouldn't live with her.
Yep.
As for the
Great. You just love that.
Damn.
cracked windshield, that was due to a semi-truck pulling out in front of me on the highway. There's a lot of people out there who have probably experienced time. As for the cracked windshield, that was due to a semi-truck pulling out in front of me on the highway. There's a lot of people out there who have probably experienced it. Sometimes semi-trucks will get pebbles stuck in their flaps and they will fly and they will ding the windshield and it's a crack. It sucks, but it happens. There's no way I myself could have pulled off this effect on this car. In regards to the glove box, I really don't know what happened. I went to get something out of the glove box and it just popped off. It's a small piece of plastic, and the BMW dealership in my town was more than happy to fix these issues when I visited them, which is a record Blair herself has. When I got the car, I was told it was insured via the BMW dealership, so I would have to have my own insurance, and then BMW had their own separate insurance. So if something happened with a car, I could go to the dealership, show the issues, and they would happily fix the issues for no charge at all. Which again, Blair has a record of me visiting the dealership due to the car blowing a flat due to A, low profile tires, and B, a pothole I didn't see due to nighttime and rain. They told me I could bring the car back whenever I please, and I intended to fix these issues before going back to Colorado, as returning it in such a condition would make no sense. After authorities were sent to my house the following morning, I explained the situation and the officers relayed their official opinion that I should cut contact with Blair, to which I did. I sent her one last text stating I would be ceasing communication and that she could reach me and make arrangements for my belongings via my father's number. Not one attempt was ever made. Legal demand letters were sent and signed off for. You can see the draft of such a demand letter and what it looked like on official paper in my Google Drive. After months and months of trying and receiving no communication or update, we were told by someone who represented Blair to back off or they would go after us for harassment. I know this is scripted, but I really want to reiterate here that I felt small. I felt defeated. I had literally left my apartment for this. I lost my independence for this. My belongings, either tech related or just memorabilia, were and are still gone to this day. I didn't want to upload because I knew every time I did, I knew Blair was probably checking my social blade laughing at me, as I had seen her do to every single former Sad Milk member for months. I had no way to prove to my friends why I had seemingly high hopes for the future, and in the course of a summer I had almost no money to my name due to Blair's butterfly effect. None of the friends I had made would talk to me, and like OT and Click, rumors began to spread about me too. Admittedly on a smaller scale, but they were still about me nonetheless. I was fired. Blair had taken the car as well as my belongings. My life had been set back to square one, which leads me to my next and most painful section, my mental health, which was proudly put on display for the world to see for some reason. Before we begin, I'd like to not so much trauma dump to a bunch of viewers, but rather give you the full scale of where my mental health arises and such. I feel it is important to share this context, not just for me, but truthfully because there are a lot of people out there who remain silent about these kinds of things, and I want them to know they aren't alone. I'd also like to make two more notes. First, there's going to be a trigger warning, one involving self-harm, and child sexual. Another warning, this is probably going to be the section of the video where I don't know how to be very professional in this manner. I feel it is best that I just show you how raw this actually is, because trying to paint it in any other light just doesn't show the extent of how painful this actually is. Now, when I first saw Blair speaking upon my mental health, admittedly, I shut down. I was rightfully broken and disgusted that so many people could see the insight into my mental health, something very private and a lot of times met with shame. There were so many things I wanted to say when I saw that. So many nasty and vile words of venom I wanted to throw out into the void due to this becoming public on Blair's own doing. But it's not Blair's story to tell as to how I got to this point, it's mine. So when I want to say 3 to 4 years old, I was assaulted by a family friend's son. This was someone who I trusted, someone who I looked up to as a kid. This occurred for months, and without going into explicit detail, my parents found out. I remember being a kid and just seeing the abhorrent look of terror and tears on my parents' face, not being able to understand why they were so upset. Over the next, I guess, year or so, court proceedings took place, and the teenager who had assaulted me went to juvenile detention. My parents never really explained well what happened to me, which I can't really blame them. I can't really imagine myself in their position trying to explain that to a 4-year-old. The family who we had once been very close with no longer spoke to us, which felt strange because I lived in the same neighborhood as these kids. So when my brother and I would pass them in, say, a grocery store or at the pool, it was always met with just like silence and stares. I didn't understand what truly had occurred or the extent of what had occurred. I just recall knowing that in my head this was my fault somehow. And to clarify, I don't believe this was anyone's fault that I felt this way. My parents were just doing the best they could, and the rest of us were just kids. There was literally no way for any kid around me to know what I was going through unless they themselves had gone through the same thing. Even I myself at the time didn't know what was happening happening? Why am I telling you this seemingly dark and unrelated set of information? Because I feel it's important to the story in its whole as to show the context of where this began. My mom suffers from chronic OCD. The brain can develop OCD due to an early childhood trauma. This is known as post-traumatic OCD, but at the same time, I was also predisposed due to my mother. OCD has many forms, and it's sometimes hard to understand if you aren't suffering from it yourself, but in my specific case, OCD worked as such. I knew I had something bad happen to me. However, I didn't have a way to get a direct answer as a child. I just knew my reality was filled with a lot of questions and no real way to kind of answer said questions. This is where my brain started to fill in the blanks, as I guess you could say. It started setting me up with situations where I did have control over my surroundings. This could include an intrusive thought regarding, oh, if you don't write a sentence 15 times correctly, your parents will leave you. And if I ignored such an intrusive thought, it didn't go away. It persisted over and over, causing me extreme stress until I did the action, therefore validating it and giving me an answer somehow in my head. It's very confusing, but it's just how it works. Eventually, it got to a point where I could barely function throughout my childhood. I feared death from a very early age. I feared that my loved ones would get harmed, that people would hate me, and that I secretly wanted to harm someone and I didn't know it. During an already hard time in my early teens where my parents were getting divorced, I went on to take something known as fluoxetine. You might also know this as Prozac. It's a very popular antidepressant. For years between each household, I would have either one parent encourage me to take my meds, or I'd have another parent encourage me not to do so. I remember just how irritable and awful I felt on said medicine, but I also was going through a very hard and confusing time in my life as a teenager in a new city who was also going through a divorce. Like, needless to say, it was excuse my French here, a shitstorm of mental, whatever you want to call it. So when I was 16, I decided to
Yeah, like everything that could go wrong at the worst age.
quit cold turkey, which is a massive no-no. It was hell at first, and it was not fun by any means. But after a few years, I really started to notice my symptoms had become manageable. This isn't to say you should stop taking your meds by any means. I just couldn't afford my meds, and my father at the time didn't think they were in my best interest, so I just personally would try to combat most of these things myself. I really hate bringing this up, but it feels like a cop-out on my part, but it's the turn of events that ended up taking place as to why this ties in to where we are at. About halfway through the pandemic, I was working from home. It was during this time that Sad Milk fell apart, and I hopped onto the bandwagon of witch hunting my former colleagues and friends, something I am ashamed I ever even took place in to begin with. Oz and Blair lived together for many months, so they both had each other during this time. Particularly post-December, it would just be me by myself in a room alone. I saw my roommate, who, again, I mentioned is one of my closest friends, but at the time, he had a job as well, and it just was more or less short conversation of, hey, how's your day going? And that really was my social interaction for weeks at a time. Aside from that, I would just be in my room constantly editing. It was here in this environment that my OCD started creeping in slowly until it grew into a full-on sprint. At this time, Blair had already offered me the job, but I was still debating if I wanted to go to Colorado. So I sat on it and I thought really hard. Thought about my dog and how I'd always wanted to provide a home for him. Thought about the pain of leaving my loved ones and my friends of almost 10 years. But I also thought about my future for the first time in a very long time. Thought about how I could afford therapy, something I hadn't been able to do for a very long time. How I could really maybe make a name for myself on the platform, and how I could maybe just for once have full control over my life and save myself from the constant cycle I had been stuck in since I was a child. And so I agreed. This is a part where it's gonna really suck if you get uncomfortable really easily. I took the job. I went back on my meds. I said goodbye to my friends. I shared tears with people who had been family to me. I'm just gonna blur this out, man. I said goodbye to my dearest friends who I did everything with. I said goodbye to my home. I knew I was doing the right thing, and everyone with either open words of encouragement or painful goodbyes in private. Fucking hard to read, man. They all held the same sentiment to me. They were proud of me. The first time in my life, I felt I knew my purpose. I felt I was more than a burden. I felt like I was someone who mattered. I felt more than my trauma or my past or my OCD. I felt like I was just me. Then upon moving, if you've watched the video up to this point, you already know everything that's taken place. So when Blair took the car, I knew I had nothing left but a few clothes on my back, and everyone would soon find out that the person they were so proud of just 2 months prior was back at home and broke. And for me, I couldn't really handle that. I had tried so hard to show every effort that I cared, that I wanted to do a good job, that I wanted to succeed, and it ended up with me having nothing. I truly was a failure now, and nobody could say anything else because I couldn't speak publicly or I'd be threatened with legal action. By this point, my mental health was in a full collapse. Everything was dark, and I felt I had nowhere to go, and that every exit just led to more pain. So while my dad was away, I sat at his kitchen counter, thinking, reviewing my options, whatever that even means, and I chose that I wanted. So, as Blair showed, I started to look for a key to a Now, I'm not religious by any means. I don't have anything against anyone who is, but sometimes things just work in really weird ways. I got a call from my therapist as I was in the closet looking for a key. I had entirely forgotten that we had scheduled an appointment that day. It wasn't really on my mind. Nothing was really on my mind. I just wanted to stop fucking hurting. I answered and she asked me how my day was going, and I told her, oh, not much. I just want to end my life. And again, I don't mean to laugh, but she said, well, how about we just don't do that and talk? Which was just like, it was so crazy. It's just like, I can't even imagine. I mean, like, I guess they're a therapist, they deal with that, but I can't imagine what it's like. How's your Tuesday afternoon going? Oh, you know. But I listened and we did talk. I walked out into my dad's bedroom and I just cried on the phone for about an hour. And throughout it, I'll never forget what she told me. She said, you feared for the worst. You fought your whole life trying to avoid the worst possible outcome. And now the worst possible outcome has happened. And you're alive. You know, I'm still standing here, man. I personally had never thought of it like that. I truly didn't. So after our calls, I was still in a living hell, but the idea had more or less left my mind. And so yeah, I did send Blair that heated message because I was at the end of my rope. So when Blair claimed she sent authorities to my house for a wellness check, she didn't care about me. She put in her own Google Drive that I brought the mention of guns to the table and she was locking the cars away and was scared, leaving out that the weapon in reference was aimed towards me. I know I'm supposed to be professional here, but I believe that that text alone only showed she cared about her narrative of herself being supposed to be cars away.
So he mentioned to me something about guns, and so the police are you fucking self-centered. They told me not to arrange anything unless they are present. One of the texts mentioned his dad's gun cabinet, and I told blank and blank said it doesn't matter why he brought it up. Yes, it does! He brought the thought of weapons to the table and to protect myself first. Go fuck yourself, Blair.
And was scared, leaving out that the weapon in reference was aimed towards me. I know I'm supposed to be professional here, but I believe that that text alone only showed she cared about her narrative of herself being a victim. And by showing text with her therapist, she's trying to claim the Good Samaritan card, which is very contradictory given the tones of the perceived messages that I saw. Also, something I'd like to note is that I wasn't there when Blair called 911 to send authorities to my home, but depending on her wording, it could have gone very wrong. To tell authorities there is a mentally unwell man with a weapon, that can go so very bad, so very fast. So yeah, after this long, very drawn out explanation of my mental health, yes, I did send Blair that heated message because I was indeed heated. It wasn't a bluff. I had nothing to gain from this. I was at the end of what I could handle as a person. So to share this sensitive moment with the world, I don't understand what the end goal is with it. Now we're on to a bit of a lighter topic because anytime I think of my dog, it brings a massive smile to my face. I love this dog with all of my heart. As we start to near the end of this video, I believe we have only 2 subjects after this. I wanted to touch on the claims made about my dog James, and how I cared for this handsome individual. I love this guy, look at him. Blair for some reason brings up an entirely unrelated matter involving my dog James and I. She paints me to be a dismissive, uncaring father to a starving, aggressive, abused dog. This dog right here. This dog who's scared of fucking leaves. So allow me to shed some light. I adopted James back in 2019 from a small shelter in Central Texas. I remember seeing his cage and the information on it said class clown, so naturally I had to say hello to this guy. Within the first 10 minutes of meeting James, I immediately knew that this guy was going to be my best friend. He was sweet, he was gentle, he was social, but he's very shy. Another fact about James was he was the dog that the staff would use at the shelter to introduce other dogs to see if they were friendly or not, due to James' naturally calm nature. When I moved to Colorado, I did bring dog food. It was just about half a bag though. James's brand of dog food is also specific to a store in Texas known as H-E-B, so I had to find him a new specific kind of dog food as he had a sensitive stomach and switching his dog food would result in messes. But upon arriving to Colorado, Oz and Blair wanted to see if James wanted to try Casper's brand, so we just switched over to that. He loved it, and Casper has been known in the past
and that may explain the mess in the basement.
Yeah.
Making severe messes everywhere due to his very irritable stomach as he is
Things are starting to click now, aren't they?
Fuck's sake.
a special needs dog. As for his collar, James did have a collar, but it was old and starting to wear.
Yeah, like I can understand this. Demona was the same way. When we first brought her in, the foster home that she'd been staying at gave like a couple little Caesars, and she loved the damn things. So we fed her Caesars, and turns out she's got a very sensitive stomach, and it does not agree with Caesars, and certain other foods. So I make her food handmade nowadays.
It can be with cats. Cats are the same way. My cat lady's a rescue, and she is basically a bottomless stomach, but her sensitive stomach prevents her from eating everything in sight, so this is understandable. It's amazing what context will do, isn't it? Wow!
I went to PetSmart on my second day in Colorado and bought him a brand new dog tag alongside a red plaid collar, a collar which he still wears to this day. I also did not lock Casper in the room to keep James roaming the home. I'd put Casper in a separate room sometimes so James could pee, as Casper would bark constantly at the bedroom door which James and I stayed in. Whenever James was out, Casper would gnaw on his ears, which is something Blair did not mention. James did bite Casper. He made Casper bleed. But what Blair left out is that since Casper was a puppy, he has had a bad habit of gnawing on other dogs' ears. This is due to him being around another dog named Percy who exhibits this kind of behavior. And you can see this dog exists on Casper's own YouTube channel. So one day Casper kept chewing and dragging on James, so naturally he snapped back. James only did this because Casper wouldn't stop attacking him. It wasn't the other way around. As for James getting out and pooping downstairs and me not helping clean it up, there's a lot of reasons for this and a lot of context left out. The night James got out and got lost, I made him—
Wow, very, very in keeping with Blair's behavior too, where she pokes and pokes and pokes and pokes and pokes at someone, and then when they snap at her, and she's like, "Oh, victim!" But her—
it's like a toddler.
Yeah, her dog does the same fucking thing. Her dog bites and bites and bites and bites, and then gets bitten back. Goes, "Oh, your dog attacked my dog." She just ignores everything that comes from her side.
Wow. Okay.
Mistake and forgot he was out there in the backyard. I was in between helping Oz with something downstairs and going back and forth, but James needed to pee, so I tried to multitask. After like 10 minutes, Oz suggested we go grab dinner real quick, and we left for like 2 hours. I personally messed up, and I take full accountability for it happening. I left James out in the backyard. But what pet owner hasn't made a mistake like this once or twice in their life? Sometimes someone—
Yeah, every once in a while you make a mistake, and it breaks your fucking heart, but you know what? A good pet owner learns from it and tries their very damn hardest not to do it again.
We love accountability. We love it.
It's really not hard. You learn from it, and then you don't do it again. You apply what you learned.
Round of applause for this guy. Holy crap. This is a breath of fresh air.
gets to close the door or the gate or whatever, and it happens. It's a story as old as time. It doesn't mean you don't care about the dog, it just means an accident happened. What Blair again also doesn't mention is that the backyard had a large patio area that Casper would take naps in, and sometimes James when they all chilled out together. The backyard was also fenced in. Blair leaves out that the way James got out was because a fence wire broke loose, undoing some of the fencing along a post, allowing a small entryway into the neighborhood. Had this not come undone, James would be sitting on the dog beds waiting, which again, James being outside is my fault, but the fence failing is just human error. Blair talks about putting James on the next door app, which despite my reservations against Blair, this was a good act. But again, what she leaves out is she didn't get a call about James. I did. After James had run away, I searched for hours well into the early morning hours looking for him, and when I couldn't find him, Oz gave me a sleeping bag. The very same sleeping bag you can see in this photo in the BMW. I slept outside in 40-degree weather just for the smallest chance that he would catch my scent. Like, I was grasping at straws here, hoping that I could just find my dog on top of everything else happening. And I believe somewhere between 7 to 9 a.m., somewhere in that—
I can understand what this guy would be feeling if I lost Demona because I like accidentally left her outside and the gate was open. I would be really, really upset. Running around the neighborhood all night until I fucking faint from exhaustion. So that's totally understandable.
time frame. I got a call on my phone that James had been found not far from the house. I immediately got up, exhausted as hell, and I went and I picked him up. If Blair got a message on the Nextdoor app, I don't know how when I was the one who went and picked him up. So after bringing him back to the house, I brought him to my bedroom where I passed out. However, to my discovery, James had eaten something as dogs do when they get out, and he was shitting everywhere in my room. So I got up and I started cleaning. I put James outside the room while I cleaned it, and after I did, I brought him back in, and yet again, I fell asleep. I was beyond exhausted at this point. What I didn't know was that James had run downstairs when I put him out, and he everywhere downstairs as well. So when Blair claims I just let my dog use the restroom and did nothing to clean it up, I just didn't know he had used the bathroom downstairs. And at this point, I was already dead asleep. No, this wasn't malicious, and it was just a sincere accident.
Wow, so that's the second time somebody's asleep and Blair's like, oh, you're not immediately awake to deal with this issue that I've decided is a real world-ending problem. You must be doing it on purpose.
You know what I'm mad at right now? You know what I'm most angry at is the fact that, like, Blair is just a saint and that her actions to her are like, oh, I just made a mistake. But someone will, like, trip over, like, something that maybe she left out, and because of that, they, like, drop their water on the ground, and she's like, oh, you fucking heathen!
They did it.
How dare you make a human error!
They did it to make me look bad.
You're trying to make me look like a fool in my own house. You, I'm tweeting about this.
Blair uses the same rhetorical tricks as the alt-right motherfuckers she criticizes. She oversimplifies, she omits essential context, vilifies people for making mistakes, and so on and so on. Yeah. She totally does this on purpose. I refuse to believe she isn't aware of time zones of people she's talking to. Yeah, especially when you've got like a whole schedule indicating that's clearly what you're supposed to be talking about in scheduling. You would think
Like
that
if
would be very prominently on your mind.
I feel like she should be aware of the time zone thing, especially if she's made schedules, and that way she knows people's time zones, so she's fully fucking aware that people can't respond immediately. She just doesn't fucking care, and she's too self-centered to think about other people. I'm so mad.
That was what I said with extra steps. Alright.
I'm sorry, I'm
Which
tired
seems
right now.
hypocritical of Blair, who
Hi.
owns a special needs dog who suffered worse for way longer. Blair claims that I did not assist with a mess located in the lower level of your home, as well as a staircase leading to said lower level of the home. What was your experience with the situation as the owner of this home?
Like, no shade to you, and like, you know, of course, but like no one like recounts the situation properly, because you weren't sleeping. I'm surprised that you even made that mention. You were actually like very well awake and already cleaning the mess up when we had actually got upstairs. What had happened was, woke up that morning, came out from the basement, and there was like, you know, a trail of dog mess is the best way to put it, kind of like just leading all over the downstairs. It went up and down the stairs, and you know, Blair and I, of course, we weren't happy to see that initially, but when we had gone upstairs, you were already cleaning up the mess. Blair had to leave the house, and that left you and I with cleaning it, because you and I, we were actively cleaning it up. We were both taking.
Are you guys getting upset because I pronounced schedule like schedule and not schedule?
I wasn't gonna say anything, but yeah, I figured people were gonna get mad at that.
It's like via or via. Get over yourself.
taking turns using the pet vacuum. I was covering the downstairs and you were covering the upstairs. It's not like you just slept through it either. You were actively cleaning.
I'd also like to add that I did mediate between Casper and James a lot of time. When Casper and James would constantly be going at each other, usually not aggressively, they're just being dogs, I would calm them down using dog CBD oil. Yeah, you know, they were having a great time with that. So anytime they were getting rowdy, I'd bring them into—
Turning on me in my own stream. Yeah, exactly. No!
He's just like me, for real, for real.
Just imagine like a wall of I don't know, little gremlins with tails or whatever. He's just like
God.
in my bedroom, give them dog CBD, and we would watch videos of this guy who raises hawks until they
Don't you fucking mock my sorry.
You're sorry?
Are
you sore?
asleep. I would have James on one side, and I would have Casper on the other, and they would just be
You and your
cozy,
sorry.
relaxing, so they could be introduced to one another.
I'm
We took
sorry.
numerous naps together. We hung out all the time. There are so many times I mediated between this dog, so to say I tried to do nothing, it's just not true. As for saying James had no toys, James did have toys. It's just when he'd play with them, he'd annihilate them within an hour. And he still has toys to this day. My
Aggressive
boyfriend and I
pressure.
just got him a snuffle mat last week. And while
cute.
yes, this is extremely biased for me to bring up, because yes, this is my boyfriend, you can find a Twitter thread listed down below of their experience with James and I after living with me for 6 months. I'd like to add, I did not ask them to write this, as honestly that'd be pretty messed up, especially given the circumstances. They took a Twitter via my phone after I went offline. But aside from that, here are some images of me and the big guy. Yep, he looks absolutely miserable, doesn't he? Alright, at last we have reached the last discussion of this video, and this is probably just gonna go by rather quickly. When I took to Twitter in my initial thread, I posted a photo that shows the disaster of a room. When Blair saw this, she had a pretty convincing switch around for this image. He claimed I went into a room that was being used for storage after they moved into their home, and that I was told to not go into this room.
I disagree that is a convincing switch around, because not only does the setup container look like it's been used, there's a giant pile of clothes that are clearly being put there after they've been used. It's like, you mean to tell me that instead of like putting these clothes in a laundry bin, you're just tossing them in a pile in this one fucking room that's being used for storage, quote unquote? Go fuck yourself. That doesn't make any goddamn sense. Like, I have clothes lying around because I plan to reuse them, not in a giant pile like that in the corner of the room. Like, what the fuck?
Honestly, I'm just looking at this at that point, and it's so hard to tell if Blair's lying or not at this point, because she's already lied so much. So at this point, I'm just gonna take everything she says as a lie.
Oh, no. Just wait.
Oh, great.
This actually gets explained.
Oh, thanks. I'm so excited.
ever, yet here I was clear as day posting a photo to Twitter of a clearly off-limits room that I used to embarrass Oz and Blair, and that shows my clear lack of respect towards others and their privacy.
This was a room that we told you we were using to move, and we let you know it was off limits to you. That photo alone shows your consistent lack of respect for Oz's and my boundaries.
She goes as far to even do an image breakdown analysis of the room itself to prove this image, which I found peculiar watching this for the first time, because if she took this much effort to analyze the image, I don't understand how she didn't notice that the bed on the bottom left was not purchased until 2022, a year after I left Colorado. How do I know this? Because I didn't take these photos. Oz did, and I held back out of respect for my friend. If you look here, you will see that I actually never set foot in that room. These are the living conditions of Oz Media's home after Blair moved back in. Conditions he was embarrassed by. Boxes, trash, cups of mold, all sent to me again back in. Conditions I actually never set foot in that room. These are the
Okay, they have never been that. Oh.
I'm getting joy in my heart from her lies being fucking explained and shit. This is my serotonin for the day. We love justice.
What? It's just piles of literal full trash bags.
Yep. This is a thing.
living conditions of Oz Media's home after Blair moved back in. Conditions.
You know, I can be a little messy. I'm self-conscious about I can be messy. I'm so glad I'm not this. What the cups of mold?
He was embarrassed by.
That looks like my apartment about a month after I moved in, only due to the fact we had no furniture and no like trash bags or anything because we were fucking dirt poor from just moving in. But how long has she lived there?
Sephora. ULTA.
Great.
That's like. Is that makeup?
That is makeup. Yes.
Okay.
I know my makeup brands. I wear it a lot.
Is Sephora also makeup or is that just clothes?
Yes, Sephora is an entire makeup store / brand. They host other kinds of brands. So
pretty sure.
Let me take a closer.
Told me while I was at Disneyland and I forgot. I always forget. It was Sephora.
Sephora is a makeup store. They have products like MAC and oh my god, I'm looking at it now. Holy fuck!
What the fuck is MAC?
That is so. Ulta Beauty. I can see the Ulta Beauty label. It's the ULT.
Yeah.
That is also a makeup store.
Well, yeah, that's why. That's why I asked.
Yeah. Sorry. I keep getting cut out. My Wi-Fi is shit, so sometimes I don't pick up on full sentences. I'm sorry if I repeat. I'm just dumb. But all of those boxes, mainly material items and makeup. Maybe there's some Amazon boxes in there, but Jesus fucking Christ.
Yeah. It's like I would argue I can get pretty close to this, but some of the stuff that they describe with like how Blair, left things out and it gets like moldy and stuff like that, I'm not that bad. I'm pretty bad. I would argue I need to clean up my my space. But no, I don't let things just get moldy in my room.
Call that a depression room, mainly due to the fact that there's so much garbage.
No, I definitely live in a depression room, but...
Yeah, mood.
This is like my house after Christmas.
Just gonna say the same thing!
Boxes, trash,
Oh my god,
Conditions of Oz Media's home after Blair moved back in. Conditions he was embarrassed by. Boxes,
oh, shit.
Let me see. Give me.
Wait, are those two different PS5s?
I see an Amazon box. I see.
Or is that just like the interior of the PS5
That's
box?
the interior of the PS5 box, and then there's a controller box. There's some underwear pack. There's another Amazon box. Another one in the back I can see.
Okay, I understand not getting rid of the box, but like at least package up or repackage the stuff that's like.
There's also the plastic wrap that things come in that she didn't bother to throw away. Her
just...
dog could potentially choke on that.
Oh, you're right.
Trash.
It's a hazard. What is it? Oh god. Your stream's not loading on Discord. I'm gonna go over to Twitch. Oh, nope,
Yeah.
clicking out. I have a phobia of mold. Nope, I'm clicking out of
Of
that.
mold, all sent to me again 2 years after I left Colorado. And this is my proof that once more, I never set foot in that room, nor did I have malicious intent when I lived there. Blair embarrassed Oz, not me. In the video, I touch on an image I shared to Twitter involving the living conditions of your home while Blair was an active tenant. She claims these conditions were due to her being in the process of a move, and that I took these images with intent to embarrass the both of you. Would you be, in your own words, willing to shed light on these claims?
This is tricky to talk about, just because like that was like the condition of living with Blair. Like that's always how it has been. No matter how many times cleaning was attempted, it always ended up becoming that level of mess. There was no cleaning in that house. It was always a disaster. No matter how many times attempts were made, it would take less than a week or two for things to re-messify. I even remember on my 22nd birthday, I had asked like, hey, can we please get like the kitchen and living room cleaned up so we actually have like a space to exist? And that was like my birthday present for that year, was cleaning the kitchen and the living room. Just because the house was always a mess. Yeah, some of it was mine as well, but the thing was there was never a home for, like right now the house is actually house is pretty clean right now. I can show pictures of that, but there was no clean. It was always like that. It wasn't just one room, it was every room. And I remember when I was messaging you, there was just a level of frustration because it felt like no matter how often I would actually clean and do stuff, it just always like re-messified. There was no cleaning. It just felt useless, and she would never help with cleaning. It was always me. I was always the one breaking down all 800 of her Amazon boxes. I was always the one doing anything cleaning wise. It just felt like I was there to clean up her.
What the fuck is she ordering on
Okay.
Amazon that she has all these boxes?
If I may, I just looked up how long does it take for mold to grow in a cup full of soda/water/liquid. It takes around 105 days, so I highly doubt that this was when it was moving. The mold was caused from moving.
That also
because it takes
could
so long.
That could depend on the temperature.
It could depend on the temperature, but either way, it takes a while for mold to start growing, depending on the conditions. It takes around a month at least for liquid, it says. So I'm over here looking at it like, ugh.
Yeah, there's a thick amount of mold too. Ugh.
That.
Ugh.
Mess.
I'd also like to note that you didn't ask me to post those photos, and I, on my own accord, took to Twitter. So you can confirm that I never once was in there or took that photo. Well, I guess you can't confirm that I wasn't in that room, but can you confirm that I was not the person who took this photo?
For starters, the mess that I took the photo of wasn't even the same mess that existed in that room when you lived there. It was a very different mess. Just with everything that happened, the mess, it did get cleaned up, then it re-messified, so like that wasn't even the same mess.
When you categorize time periods in a house you live in based on the mess.
Yeah.
It was me who took that photo because I was trying to both, for my sanity, catalog what the house looked like before I started cleaning, as well as just for my sake, just like have proof that this was the case.
Which leads me to my final discussion. Oz and I used to be fairly close before Colorado. After the events that took place, we had officially turned against each other, and I didn't understand why he and Blair did what they did. Because for 2 years, I believed it was both of their doing as to why I went through what I did. I never thought I would hear about Colorado and that what happened would ever be rectified. However, one morning as I was getting ready for work, I received this message from Oz Media in the early hours of 2:35 a.m., January 6, 2023. I was highly skeptical, which I made note of, but I listened, and as we began to talk January 6,
I'm sorry for everything. 1.5 years too late, I know. I'm next apparently, and I'm sorry. Just for everything, man. I should have seen it. I should have seen the something writing on the wall, but I ignored in hopes that I was wrong. I saw you unblocked me. I hope deep down that you knew this might happen and gave me a door to open. I might be wrong, but please, I fucked up. If you would ever listen to me and hear me out, I would thank the world. I was an idiot, man. Blair played me, and I fucking fell for it.
2023. I was
Hey Oz, I appreciate you reaching out. I think I and a lot of other people as well know firsthand just how convincing and vile Blair can be. I'm sending this to let you know that I'm not ignoring this message. I hope you can understand the sheer intensity of you reaching out, and I need time to think of a clear, level-headed response. Be well, I'll get back to you soon.
highly skeptical, which I made note of, but I listened, and as we began to talk once again, we started to connect the dots and find so much context that had been left out between us. I was still very much on edge with my trust, but over the last few months, Oz has made countless efforts to prove not only to me, but to every other former Sad Milk member that he truly was sorry for the role he played in anything that took place. It shows a tremendous amount of strength, and Oz will always have my respect as a person for what he has done. I don't blame him for his role. He was in an abusive situation and had every reason to fear Blair. I feared her too for a very long time. For over a year, I watched watched one of my best friends slowly wither and question everything and his work ethic for his beloved channel fade away. After everything came out, I now understand why this was the case. So to watch tears flow from Blair for 3 minutes after knowing what will always remain behind closed doors between those two, it personally sickens me. At the end of Blair's video, she has what appears to be a heartfelt cry regarding your friendship. This section is roughly 3 minutes. She goes into detail about you, Casper, better times, and involves hobbies, etc. Would you like to share your thoughts on what you felt or thought when you first saw this?
There's not really a nice way that I can actually say this. I've watched her build those tears up on multiple occasions, whether it's she forgot she had a prior engagement, so she built up tears and said, I have to take Casper to vet and I'm very scared so I won't be able to make it, or for talking to other content creators that she's had issues with of welling up those tears for apologies, for talking with employees, for talking with me or her roommates. It's something that I have watched her do on numerous occasions. If they were genuine, I mean, there's that, but I have a really hard time believing it with how many times I've actually seen her build those tears up. And considering when I did post my thread on Twitter and I did make the comments that I made, the tone that she had in messages was night and day. What I'm trying to say is that the tone that she had in the end of her video was not the tone that she had with me behind the scenes. The tone that she had with me behind the scenes was very much accusing. A few vague threats were thrown in there, which I don't want to go into details on because I just, for me personally, with how I see all of this, I don't want to make a response video. This might hopefully be where my response is within the confines of your response, just because I would like to keep this. I don't want to drag out Blair and I's personal life is the best way of putting it. I would rather try to keep that as private as I possibly can, because there's a lot of things I don't think is necessary to talk about.
I've seen and heard what this individual has put this man through, and it is simply unfair to have included this section in the
From
video.
what I've
I can only
heard,
hope that from
they
here
have
on
since gone back on, or from what I've heard, I think they have since gone back on that since they were making a video.
Yeah, but they got the
before
cease and desist. Yeah.
Honestly,
I mean, someone in the chat earlier when this was brought up had said that it might be coming out later this month, but shrug.
Sombrero,
I guess
not
take
following. Welcome. And
I'm just, at this point, seeing how Blair's actions have affected not only herself but people around her and has forever altered people's lives. It's not only just sad, but fucking disgusting.
Yeah.
She has forever changed how people will be able to trust people. She's forever changed how people will act on the internet. There will always be that fear, what if this person's lying to me? What if this person is this? They have forever altered it. And the fact that they can sit there and have those crocodile tears, oh, I'm so sorry, when clearly they've shown to cry to manipulate before, it makes me very upset. And even if they are tears, they aren't because she's sorry, they're because she got caught.
Dude, I know Ponder and I, both separately have instances of that, too. So it's it's easy to relate.
I'm sorry for you guys. No one deserves to go through that. You guys have my deepest apologies, and I'm really sorry that you guys had to experience that. That was not fair to you. You did not deserve that. You guys are awesome people, and you have changed so many people's lives for the better. You did not deserve what you guys went through, and I am sorry. Anyway, back to this bullshit.
I guess.
Sorry.
out, Oz can find the peace and passion for not only his work, but the life he so rightfully deserves. I'd like to say one more time, thank you for everything you made right, Oz. You are generally a really good guy. So, we've reached the end of this video, and if you made it through to the end, I appreciate your patience, as I'm aware this was probably very lengthy. I hope that what I was able to provide today brought some context and clarity for anyone who wanted to know the full scope and both sides of the story that was presented online over the last few weeks. I'm not going to tell you how to view what I've said here. I'm not going to tell you how to view me. I'm not going to tell you how to view any of this story. That is not my place. That is entirely up to you to decide how you feel. Before I leave, I just want to say thank you to every single person who has been supportive and reached out to me with kind words and support over the last week. I'd like to personally thank my boyfriend who has helped me keep my head on straight for this entire ordeal, as I know this has also been extremely hard on them to deal with as well. So if you already can't tell, I'm exhausted. It's 5:41 in the morning. I haven't been able to sleep in roughly a week. I just want to take some time to relax, take just a little bit of a break from content, and just spend time, I don't know, just doing any semblance of life. I want to spend time with my boyfriend, or go outside, or just anything that isn't this. I just want peace and to enjoy my life. So now I'm gonna go take a hot bath and pass the out, probably get some good sleep for the first time in a week.
Yep.
Wow. I feel so bad for that guy. I want to give him a hug. Been through so much, man. Like,
so,
Jesus.
How's everyone feeling?
I don't feel good no more.
Is there a video after this we need to watch? Right.
Oh no, Oz Media had the cease and desist. Okay.
Yeah. So, again, there is a chance that theirs might come out later. But currently I think you're caught up. Unless, I mean, I guess you could read One Topic's thread, but a lot of what he said in his video kinda
Yeah,
is
it
encompassed
seems.
in that, so...
Yeah.
Yeah. Ow. And I'll hold him.
So, yeah, I think that's everything. I think you're all nice and caught up now.
Yeah, we watched the One Topic.
So how you feeling?
Tired.
Video
It's a
games
lot.
will cheer up. To play the video game.
Sent a physical cease and desist to my dad's address as well. One I haven't lived at in 3 years, which she would know because I still live in the house we shared. Oh. Trying to scare my dad, you're forcing my hand here. Something I initially didn't want to do. Dun dun dun. Oh!
I'm so mad.
That's
Oh,
why
what
I
about the
said
ex-boyfriend?
I'm protective instinct I didn't know I had.
Oh, there's a ex-boyfriend thing? I actually didn't know about this. I thought I was all caught up.
Idea.
Oh.
Excuse me. What's going on?
When something as horrible as this happens,
This is
people
2
always come out and
hours.
admit.
Yeah, can we skip to the interview? I'm sorry.
gonna cry.
I'm sorry, Swoop. Here, everybody, copy V. There we go. Support the creator. Give her the views. Okay, interview.
Cheers.
Interview. No? None of this looks like an interview.
I mean, they read screenshots.
Is there like a thingy? No.
I'm gonna be sad.
What?
If this is clickbait, I'm gonna be sad.
Area fast. It's non-radiating.
Oh, fuck.
5 eyes? And you know, honestly, as you'll find out, you can't spell Illuminati without a whole lot of L's, okay? I'm just stating that she's quite diligent with the
That is a
accuracy
pretty
of
good
her
one, I'm not
research.
gonna lie.
I mean, it's
I like
neither
that.
low
Okay,
effort nor low quality.
No, I have to use a paste-bin document because I have anywhere
Yeah,
30 to
yeah.
70 sources per video. I don't play around.
And you know, like just plucking any of her videos at random, heading to the description and clicking on her sources link will in fact reveal a paste bin link with a few dozen or more sources for almost every video. What it also reveals though is that, surprise, surprise, Blair has an entire team she's working with of writers, researchers, editors, you know, thumbnail designers, and so on. Now, I don't know if this is a hot take to some, okay, but this isn't a bad thing.
What's the name of that effect when someone tries to cover up something just for more people to look at it because she's doing that? The Streisand effect.
Yeah.
Like, it's actually a good thing for these types of productions. Like, y'all know I'm a filmmaker, and having a solid team is everything. Like, from bouncing ideas off of each other to, like, having many pairs of eyes, you know, proofing the work. Like, it can be essential if you want to pay for Blair, if lighter colors appear to stick out in 3D. We could recreate it, but we figured there was
so go
allegedly
situation.
accent on just for the ad. Talked about only covers the first 8 minutes of her video. Blair's alleged apology video is exposed video to get around to addressing allegations.
So, based on what I have seen, she, along with some staff and others, would sit in this
Chipmunk
chat
clip.
and just hype up each other's hatred for us. I don't care if she uses the R word behind closed doors, but also to be this up in arms about it when others do it, that's just like rampant hypocrisy, man.
Ruin the images of people simply for disagreeing with her. All of these issues and behaviors stated here were just from the idea that someone might call her out, and I fear what might come afterwards.
So from the outside, that clip sounds like some random commentary channel talking about the current Illuminati controversy about Blair's pattern of behavior, her alleged abuse, her alleged paranoia, and providing their thoughts on it, right? Except this video was posted over 4 years ago. This is Blair's ex-boyfriend. Yeah, he goes by the username Azothan and is—
Wait, he made a commentary video on it. Wait, was it? I have to know. Was this an exposed video or a commentary video on his ex? I
love you.
r/devil's
We need to
advocate.
find. Yeah, I was about to say, is this like anywhere?
David, off topic because I feel like we need some happiness. David is going to go get me a drink because he can see I'm thirsty, and he. That's nice. Anyway, back to the bad.
Oh, hi. Sorry.
Oh.
4 years.
Is that Deadpool?
Where are... Where... What's the fucking video?
You go, where did you go?
Can I search?
Be focused. This bit. Don't focus on female Doc Oct. But okay.
Oh, okay, sorry. I'm focused. No. That's the recent one. Okay, so which fucking video is it? Choosing beggars, pro-revenge, nuclear. Choosing petty, nuclear, happened. Nice guys. Nice. Pro, entitled, church. I am the a-hole. Confession.
R/a-hole be like, am I the asshole for stabbing someone?
Oh, searching up Illuminati didn't wield any results?
Yeah. Oh, fucking... I don't know which video it is, god damn it. At Illuminati...
I guess we just...
I did that. That was the only thing
I guess we just keep trekking through Swoop. I think we could just keep...
so far.
Maybe
Like, this is a story that started before nearly everything.
Illuminati is aware of how toxic and morally reprehensible these actions are, and has attempted to remove evidence from the internet by deleting her tweets and even editing down the private...
Wait.
Nothing on the internet is forever, silly Blair!
Clicks response, my message, misery box. Ah! Motherfucker!
When something is horrible,
we hate to see it.
Messages, but throughout the course of Azothan's story, he also details how he had to block Illuminati.
Okay, so
Former content creator, ex-boyfriend. Yeah, he goes by the username Azothan and is a former content creator who's since retired from YouTube. And he made a pair of videos about Blair's alleged abuse back in April of 2019, which accuses Blair not only of consistent emotional abuse, but actively conspiring to ruin other content creators.
Oh, wait, is this the case of when she lied about another Reddit reader using subbots to grow really fast? Because I do remember that happening.
Consistent emotional abuse, but actively conspiring to ruin other content.
I didn't know it was Misery Box. For some reason I thought it was like, I don't know, Mr. Reddito or something. But not that one. I don't know which one it was. Whatever.
Creators, constant bullying of himself and others, as well as threats of litigation and even possibly physical harm. He also makes the
Oh, that was r/. Yes, that sounds way more accurate.
allegation that Blair tried doing something she accused r/ of doing, creating bots.
There you go.
nets in an attempt to get ahead on YouTube. Now, Azothan's evidence comes from screenshots that he captured over Discord and text messages, but throughout the course of Azothan's story, he also details how he had to block Illuminati's phone number, only for her to call and allegedly harass him further from burner phone numbers. Sound familiar? Kind of like Doobie Schmertz and the alt accounts that she used to harass the Clique and all their friends. Kind of like the Creepshow art stalking days. And it was...
I was literally thinking very Creepshow art-esque.
It's all coming together.
Oh, it's all full circle.
After one of these sock puppet
It's all coming together.
accounts, if you will, that he decided to record one of his phone calls with Blair.
It's important to call out bullying, lying, doxing, and threats. Unfortunately, I'm here to tell you that Illuminati has engaged in all of these behaviors. I feel that I must state up front that for the last 2.5 years, I was involved in a romantic relationship with the YouTuber known as Illuminati. This relationship ended recently, and while none of the facts stated here are related to that association, it would be dishonest for me not to state this immediately.
I have seen your f***ing Twitter and the bull you've been spewing on there.
The harassment,
You f***ing asshat.
the abuse.
Because God knows why, because you're bitter about a f***ing breakup because your cash cow f***ing left you.
Now, I managed to get in touch with Azothan via
Mally Mays just subscribed for 17. What the fuck, Mally?
You know what I'm so mad about is the fact that, like, she's doing this shit and she doesn't fucking realize people can fucking sue her for this, because that could be a fucking thing. People can sue her for emotional distress, for doxing, sharing public information, and yet she still does that because she does not care. Angie.
Subscribe with Prime. Art Siri, thank you. That was very sweet of you.
email after I saw his absolutely heartbreaking videos about Blair, and he has given me permission to share with you our conversations. So I'm going to sort of recreate this story as I understand it of Azothan's allegations of abuse against Blair based on the YouTube videos and our email interviews. So by Azothan's account, the relationship that he had with Blair was complicated for a number of reasons, both financial and emotional. But he was very much in love with her at the time. While they were dating, which lasted off and on for about 2.5 years, Blair was still involved in Reddit-based content, and Azothan states that Blair was unhappy doing Reddit content, which is why she pivoted into the commentary space.
This is an infinitely competitive person we're talking about, and she wanted to dominate the space while it was hers. An early friendship with Fresh helped mold her content, but also led her to believe that anyone else utilizing that general framework was a copycat. I listened to endless rants about Misery Box, deservedly, Bumfreeze, and even Voicey here, being nothing more than mediocre mimics of herself and Fresh.
From here, Azothan makes the allegation that Blair used an r/controversy as a means to get ahead in the commentary space.
What fueled this was her anger at being so quickly outpaced by another channel. The others were merely nipping at her heels or falling behind. But r/, well, he was rocketing past. And her statements regarding his content were even more scathing. Eventually, she utilized information and statistics provided by a larger YouTuber to create the video that many still remember. A video taken down not because she believed she was wrong ever, but taken down because she saw it negatively affecting her subscriber count. For weeks after this, though, conversations would revolve exclusively around her plans to continue her campaign against r/, from encouraging smaller channels to, and I quote, continue the effort against him, to creating an entirely different channel, purchasing her own bots, and show that the growth patterns matched, ultimately looking to spend around $4,000 on that endeavor. I expressed a general belief that she had become obsessed over the situation and really needed—
What the $4,000?
Honestly, just, do you know how many cheeseburgers I can buy with that amount of money? I can buy at least 2 cheeseburgers.
Like,
what the fuck?
Granted, there's no real evidence for this. But if that's true, or even if that's like, even if it's half of that much, bitch, what the fuck?
to let it go. Over the next 2 weeks, this would lead to a rapid deterioration of our relationship and the eventual end of it.
What you just heard Azothan saying was that their relationship ending was directly linked to Blair's level of obsession in taking down another YouTuber, even alleging that she was willing to spend $4,000 to create her own bot network just to take down a YouTuber she allegedly didn't like.
And then I asked you a simple yes or no question. Were you talking ill of me to other content creators. I even said I didn't think you were. It was just...
The answer is no.
I don't understand
But now
why
it's
you dodged it.
Now it might change to a yes because now I'm gonna have to protect my ass.
Now, the following breakup that they had was messy, just like virtually every other breakup ever, but things got even more sour when Blair was allegedly acting sketchy during a separate beef with a creator named Misery Box, which, according to Azothan himself in our
doxed her, like she just made up that r/slash doxed her to Tommy C's crew, and then like became friends with him later.
Wait, what?
Yeah, I'm having like war flashbacks because I like knew Blair was shit ages ago, but like not to this degree. But I remember there was a thing where she told Tommy C's crew that r/slash had doxed her and her family and was asking them like to help, but then when they were like, okay, we'll go public and we'll take care of it, she's like, no, don't do that, don't do that. The implication being that she just lied about it and then later on became friends with him.
Either way,
I'm sorry, I just woke up. I have the random deep lore.
I have no idea what time zone you're in, but I respect you waking up at, for me, 2:15 p.m. I have no idea, but either way, good on you for waking up today. Woo!
And then didn't she do shit against Tommy C and deleted like half his videos?
Yeah, she did do that.
What?
So TLDR on that. She used to be on Tommy's news team, and then they made a fat joke about a friend of hers. She got upset about said fat joke, so she left the team. But because she had manager access to the YouTube channel, she took down every video that had her in it when she left without telling anyone.
Oh, bitch!
I have heard about this.
This is what, again, I only know this because back in the day I remember it happening and watching like Tommy C talk about it and stuff. So when all this started happening with people saying, oh, Illuminati bad, I kind of just sat back in my seat. I'm like, this is about to be fun. Because I knew all this shit was about to come out.
See, I would be such a petty bitch. I keep like a back thing of all my videos. I don't know if Tommy would have done that. I don't know how
Nah, he
frequently.
lost all of them.
Oh.
I don't have room on my computer for that, otherwise I would.
Well,
but
that's why you buy backup drives.
You can buy backup drives.
Yes.
That is precisely why I delete nothing.
You are terrifying. You have the deep lore and everything.
I don't have the deep lore on everything.
You know, everyone else's social security network, you know, I have their IP. It's not a lot, you know, I just have a little bit. This was hard, you know. Oh,
Don't think I didn't hear, like, when you were doing the commentary therapy with Ponder, just saying that I'm everywhere. I'm not everywhere.
I have the right. I plead the fifth. I
Much like 7 layers of Kevin Bacon, it's 7 layers of Susie.
It's 7 layers of cake.
If you follow any drama back far enough, eventually you'll hit Susie.
I would not be surprised if I opened up my sock drawer and you were hiding inside. Like, oh, don't worry, I'm just you know, just chilling.
7 layers of
for
what you said
reasons.
to me, it's like, oh, do you know my connection with Herobrine? I'm like, how do you have what the fuck?
You're
Oh
I'm
yeah.
sorry.
Have I not told you that I was a streamer on the site that Herobrine was created on?
Susie's
No.
everywhere.
No, what? No one did.
Oh no, I was saying that to Ponder.
No,
Oh, the Ponder? Oh, well, I still did it.
Yeah, so Herobrine, like the story of Herobrine started on a site called Ghost in the Stream, which was like a little live streaming, like it was a livestream.com connected like website, where people would just kind of play Minecraft, and I was a streamer on there. Like, friendly reminder, I was a streamer kind of before I was like officially Doodle Tones. Or before I like had the Doodle Tones YouTube channel, I did live streams. So I've been a streamer since like 2010.
Remind me of, you remember the monkey from Toy Story 3 where he's like, he has the eyes everywhere and like over the thing they go, he sees everything. I always come back.
My favorite thing about Susie is the number of times she goes, oh, do you know about such and such? And it's like a person that left the internet 5 years ago and had a drama on DA, and I just sit there, I'm like, no, Susie. How would I even know this? I
No,
wasn't alive
Susie.
5 years ago. What are you talking about?
Someone slides her the number for a therapist. I think you may want to look into it.
When in
Susie,
doubt,
how
go
much
to Susie.
how much time do you have on your hands? And please don't say too much.
Just
Me?
enough.
Yes!
Oh.
Is her name Susie?
Yeah, well, I wasn't paying attention.
Mood.
No, how much time? I mean, the thing is I don't got a life, and
This whole drama is
my-
wild. Make sure to take care
Like,
of
I don't-
yourself. Thank you.
I don't got like friends in real life. I just everything that I do is online.
Mood. Honestly. I feel like if I had friends like that lived near me, because like I grew up in the countryside and then I moved to the city, so basically the only people I know now are my neighbors. But other than that, I'm just online all the time. So it's my job. So yeah, relatable.
I just force my real life friends to listen to my online stuff.
You force them to listen to audio dramas, and they're like, "Please, I want to see my family again." And then you're like, "Not until you get to chapter 3."
I actually have done that. I did that to my friend Cass. I forced her to sit through all of the Magnus archives with me. I trapped her in a car. No regrets. Anyway, we were talking about drama?
Oh yeah, we were talking about the drama. Yeah, let's get back to that.
Conversations may or may not even been that big of a deal at the time. Quote, I forgot the specific drama, but Misery Box was another big Reddit YouTuber whom Blair had disliked because he was having comparable growth while putting out content she said was, quote, shitty and derivative. I believe he was caught being a drunken D-canoe and was ostracized. Tragically, she then threatened and harassed some of his former mods on Discord when they couldn't give her everything she wanted from the situation. So I asked Azothan if he could clarify what he meant by that last line, and he said this: not give her everything she wanted was basically she didn't want to credit the mods who got the audio and spread it originally. This was audio assets that she had used. And when one mod got angry that she wasn't going to credit them, she threatened to paint the entire mod team as being the same as Misery Box, someone who had just been exposed. It looks like a case of Blair not crediting her sources, threatening to paint an entire mod group based on the actions of one who was mad about it. A lot of vague threats and, oh, wouldn't it be a shame if I made a video making you look as bad as Misery Box? Standard bully stuff. And Azothan sent me
That's not even bully, that's like blackmail.
That is blackmail.
That's a threat.
What the fuck is wrong with her? I know that I've asked that several times, but like, what in the genuine actual fuck? What in the cinnamon toast fuck is this?
Looks like the case of Blair not crediting her sources, threatening to paint an entire mod group based on the actions of one who is mad about it. A lot of vague threats and, oh, wouldn't it be a shame if I made a video making you look as bad as Misery Box?
This is just a Blair bitch project at this point. Like, Jesus Christ. The Blair bitch project.
That's
Hey, but
good.
this
I like that.
Yeah.
The Blair bitch. The Blair Blitch, rated PG-13.
The Blair Blitch.
The Blair. I'm fucking.
It's hard to say. It's like a tongue twister.
The Blair bitch.
I cannot pronounce s'il vous plaît.
This looks like
the
an
Blair Bitch Project.
Oh, did you see in the
The
comments
Blair
how it's pronounced?
No.
It's pronounced
How do you-
Susie.
It is?
Well, or like Susie.
What, Suze? That? I don't. What?
Yeah. I think
My
I actually
brain-
knew that, but the inclusion.
You did? You didn't tell me?
The inclusion of every once in a while when like someone fucks up a word, it's
funny.
It's funnier to keep the fuck up than it is to like oh god, shit. Stone,
I 100%.
Stone fucked up
want-
on a word in my mermaids mediating blah 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 whatever.
Oh.
The big M video where I
Yeah.
talk about the ocean and whatever. He like completely butchered one of the words. I can't remember what it was now, but it was so like this isn't at all what it says, but it's funny enough I'm gonna leave it in.
Listen, me, I have on my computer a flash drive full of bloopers, and I think half of it is from that one pink cat video. I didn't send you the best, I sent you the worst. Oh my god, that is... Knowing that it's pronounced Susie now, I'm reading over I'm looking at how it's spelled, and my brain is going, how the fuck did you not know that? You are 19 years old, and you can't pronounce s'il vous plaît.
Another time, years ago, where Blair was allegedly suggesting that she would make an expose on innocent mods just because she didn't want to credit them for their work. And things just get worse from there. In regards to their relationship, Azothan told me that, quote, when Blair and I first began interacting romantically, I had recently left my home of 27 years and moved to a whole strange place, in addition to a breakup.
So another tale of someone being isolated and removed from their support group and moved into a totally different environment where Blair
Honestly,
has control.
this is just abuse. This is honestly a form of emotional abuse. Blackmail and shit like that, this is not fucking okay. Like, I'm genuinely concerned.
You get some channel point rewards. I have 20,000. Nothing to waste. I'll get on it.
To which he said Blair, quote, had hacked my ex's Tumblr account and found evidence that she cheated on me. And then he also said that she would, quote, take me to Vegas to confess her love, but had a backup ticket to send me home that night if I didn't reciprocate. Can you imagine being in that situation where you find out if you don't say you love someone back, they're literally going to, like...
They're just like, get out. I know we had this whole weekend planned, but, you ain't doing it anymore. Get.
That is just fucking mean. What?
That's so wild.
This is just...
I can't even imagine.
I'm so just...
Skill issue.
I'm so mad.
Send you immediately away and fly you back home. Yeah, that's a lot. And then he goes on and says that she, quote, made a tell-all breakup video about us back in 2017 during one of our many breaks. So I want y'all to keep the phrase coercive control in mind, and we'll come back to that later with Wonderstruck God.
Sorry. She made a breakup video, a tell-all breakup video. What?
Wow.
Oh, are you sneezing? I will be right back. I think Demona has to go outside. Miss Sneezums! Who's outside? Miss I'm gonna get you.
Hi, Demona. I just like emerged from my comatose state when I heard that. What?
Dude, honestly, you know what? Sure, I joined the stream for drama, but you know what I actually joined for? I joined for Demona.
Exactly. We're all actually Demona.
Mally, you and I are on the same wavelength right now. The M's are feeling this. The David's home. Hold on, my boyfriend's home. I'm gonna go say hi to him. I'll be right back.
Imagine having company in the house. Could not be me.
Mood.
I'm still reeling from the idea. It's like, oh, I broke up with you. Time to make an expose video. I'm sorry, what?
I'm back.
Oh, welcome back. Oh shit, I was the only one here for a minute? Ooh, sorry chat, you're stuck with me now. Get fucked.
Well, I said I'd be right back.
I was just lamenting the breakup video that Blair apparently made.
Oh jeez.
Is that just a thing people do now? We have breakups, so we make content. I'm gonna hit B up and see if I can make a video about our breakup back in the day. How like 7-year-old breakup. Bro, I could make good content. Actually, hold on. I'm gonna message her. Hold on. What about arachnids as company? You know what, Scott? You're so right. I checked.
I don't
fuck
like
it,
that.
This is my stream now. I checked on my spiders yesterday, so I cleaned out their enclosures, got them all set up, and now I have 4 completely clean, empty enclosures just waiting for new spiders. But I'm not allowed to get any new spiders until I move, so maybe I could just like sneak 1 or 2. They won't notice. I could have another 2 spiders, right? Yeah, they won't notice.
Yeah.
Alright, guys.
I
You got 2 options. Either I end the stream for a wee bit again, or y'all entertain the stream for like 5 to 10 minutes.
Oh, brother in Christ, I just woke up. Don't subject the stream to me. I'll just talk about spiders. I'm gonna like make you lose subscribers by talking about my spiders.
I'm okay with spiders. I was talking about how there were spiders blowing into my face earlier.
Remember, I've got jumping spiders.
Yeah! Alright, I'll let you talk about your jumping spiders. I gotta get back to Demona. She's sitting out front.
Okay.
Welcome, chat,
Hey,
to
baby.
Spider Corner. Let's
Yeah.
talk about jumping spiders. Let's
Great. Awesome.
go. Thank you, Killer Bunny,
Talking
for gifting us a subscription to someone for Spider Time. Green Bunny.
Great, awesome spider time with an arachnophobe. This is gonna go awesome.
All right, well let me start by let me talk some smack about tarantulas, okay? Because everyone is like, oh, pet spiders must be tarantulas. No, fuck off. Tarantulas ain't shit. They're for bitch ass punks who don't even want a pet. Because the thing about tarantulas is they're dumb motherfuckers. They're dumb as doorknobs because they have tiny eyes and tiny brains, and they have no perception of life outside of what is immediately in front of them. You can't play with them, you can't bond with them, they don't like to come outside because they're a little bit like trapdoor spiders, they just kill what's in front of them. So you can't do anything with them, and if you drop them, they can explode. I don't like that. I don't like that at all. I don't want my spiders
Drop
to explode.
a tarantula, they explode.
It's true. Do not Google it. It's very upsetting when it happens.
I wouldn't look it up because I'm afraid of spiders, Mally.
Okay, let me explain. Chat's freaking out here. Let me explain. Do you hear an Australian? Yes, you do. Good morning. So here's the thing. Tarantulas are not... They're built different, and when I say that, I mean they're built wrong. They're not built to be able to move very much. They're not fast, they're not clever, they're not strong. So, if they fall from a height, their abdomen can explode because they're not built for it. That's why people have to be very, very careful when handling their tarantulas, because if they drop them, they can kill them. They're fragile, dumb babies, exactly.
So sweet,
Jumping
though. Tarantulas are so
spiders-
cute.
No, fuck off. They're not. They're no, okay, I'm
No,
being
they're
rude. I'm being a little mean for the sake of it, because I don't actually mind tarantulas. I don't actually mind them, but
Oh no, I
have
knew you were
to-
joking. You're cool.
Yeah, I have to go hard on them so I can emphasize to chat that jumping spiders are where it is fucking at, because jumping spiders are very special among spiders for a multitude of reasons, but specifically because they have larger eyes than most spiders that are front-facing, which means that they're very attuned to movement, and they have better eyesight than most other spiders because they're hunters, not catchers. They build their webs not to catch food, but to sleep in. Now, the reason that's important for having a pet spider is because they can learn who you are. They can, like, actually begin to recognize you and
I hate
trust
that.
you. Yeah, they know who you are, so you can't escape.
I detest that as an arachnophobe. Fuck.
I like it because when I come to see my spiders, they turn and look at me because they know that I'm bringing them food, and then they can jump on my hand and they trust me not to squish them.
See,
They're
speaking of
itty babies, exactly.
Speaking of spiders, so David is actually a huge arachnophobe, whereas I love spiders. It's just every other if there's a bug in the room and it's a spider and it's on the wall, he'll like go to the other side of the room and be like, kill it please, and I'm like, okay, fine. And then I'll either bring it outside depending on how big it is, or smash it and flush it down the toilet. But if it's a bug and I don't know what kind of bug it is, it's not like easily identifiable, I will scream and cry and go, David, kill it, I don't know what it is! And he's like, it's just a bug. And I'm like, oh, it's just a bug, it's weird. And then if it flies and you don't expect it to fly, I go,
Yeah, no, I don't fuck with the bugs. The only time I have a bar of bugs is when I'm feeding them to my babies. That's it.
Crickets though, crickets are cute.
I
And
fucking hate
grasshoppers.
crickets. I will kill so many crickets. Well, the thing
Yeah,
is,
I
I
feel-
like
hate
frogs.
crickets to the spiders, so.
Frogs are cute.
Uh-huh.
I almost had a pet toad one time and named it Pumpkin Bread. I had to get rid of it.
Alright,
I have to
also,
go,
yeah,
by the way.
welcome
I have to go, by the way.
Okay.
Oh.
I just got back. I came back to say I gotta go because I'm streaming later with Molly today.
Yeah.
But I want to go spend time with David because he's going to work soon and I love him. And although I love being on stream, my boyfriend means more to me.
Fair.
So, yeah. So I'm gonna go spend time with him. Anyway, thank you. Bye bye.
Bye bye. I returned.
Screaming about spiders.
Perfect time. Haha.
Yeah.
But by Azathan's account, things were kind of hot and cold with Blair. Like, sometimes the love she gave was great, and other times, well, y'all heard the phone calls, right? Now, Azathan also shared with me other manipulative or abusive behaviors that Blair allegedly did, including that she, quote, demand I spend my time exclusively playing Dark Souls 3 with her in my free time. Anytime to go
What the fuck?
out to parties or karaoke or just make any social or emotional
yes.
ties other than
The
her were
same
met
Dark
with
Souls for him.
punishment, essentially
Ooh.
isolating him from his family and his support system,
Yeah, which we already picked up on.
which is a very common
I have a suggestion for a channel point redeemed drawing request, and it's cheap, like a 500 point max, but it just plays a video clip of you or someone else saying, "Fuck you, pay me."
and manipulation tactic and a form of emotional abuse. But I wanted to know, like, what does
That point, you have to add that. That's amazing. That's all. I will redeem that every stream.
500 points.
I've only got the one redeemed myself. In fairness, though, my chat fucking loves it.
We love our oh, sorry. Chat's talking about moths. Moths and butterflies. Yeah, moths definitely have they're amazing. Fun thing about moths, again,
Moths are
I'm
cool.
back on spiders, is jumping spiders don't like to eat moths. Just a fun fact. They don't really like moths very much.
Speaking of jumping spiders, I saved in relative terms 2 of them today. I mentioned it on the chat earlier. There's like, I swear to God, there's like a nest of recently hatched spiders on the light above my head. So I have my fan constantly blowing at me from across the room, and these spiders, I assume, are doing the thing where they cast a little thread and see where it lands and see where it takes them. And so far where it is taking them is in front of my face and on my microphone and in my hair. So
If you find more jumping spiders, you have to take pictures for me, because the jumping spiders in America and Canada are completely different to Australian jumping spiders, and I love them, and I can't have them here, and I hate them.
yeah, they're the tiny little white and black ones. But yeah, there were 2 of them just floating, just like dangling from a thread hanging from the light and just like swaying back and forth from the fan just in front of my face.
Chat's having a war about moths now.
Oh no. Moths are nothing.
Moths are cool!
Moths are
We like
adorable.
moths.
I had to catch one last night. I did it, but it was very difficult. I had to use a strainer and like use it like a net almost. And then once the moth finally landed in it, I had to like slow it down just the right amount so I didn't like fling the moth out of it again.
Actually, I'm gonna see if I can add silk moths to the mod pack for season 2. I fucking love silk moths. They're great.
Azothan
When is season 2 again?
End of August,
Okay.
I think.
Okay.
From memory.
mean by punishment? Well, according to him, it, quote, varied from verbal abuse to a couple days no contact to several weeks. When she did return from one of our breaks, it was with cruelly lurid stories about F-boys on Snapchat and all the fun that she had going out. I'm just like, what in the actual like, I'm really just, I'm trying to,
Oh, I'm recognizing so many red flags about this behavior.
You were the one who
be the final time.
What I'm saying is that I was angry about the fact that you were the one who proposed a collaboration, and then as soon as I was ready and put all this effort into it, you just kind of shut me down. It just seemed...
So it had nothing to do with the fact that I go, oh, I'm moving, I'm busy, I'm doing every single day. The only thing you had to ask me is, when are we collabing? When are we collabing? When are we collabing? And it's like, oh, you're treating me like a fan, Blair. And I'm like, well, perhaps you should have stopped acting like one.
You want to say you don't attack me, but then you straight up cook and call me a liar over things that you are no 100% true. I'm done with I'm done with you.
Because God knows why, because you're bitter about a breakup because your cash cow left you. Like, off.
This in combination with it.
And I'm sorry in advance, but the ex-boyfriend sounds so much like Spoctor, and it's throwing me. Is he not? It's not just me, right?
It's been a very long time since I heard Spoctor's voice, but from what I remember...
As someone who has been listening to a lot of Spoctor, because I'm kind of working on my own video, I don't think so, but...
Wait, no, it hasn't been a very long time. It's been since Lyra's video, never mind. It's, yeah, sounds familiar. Sounds similar. Sorry, not the right word.
Maybe just men all sound the same to me, I don't know.
Everything else led to Azothan having enough, so he called her up to express how unhappy he was. Now, this wasn't the call that Azothan recorded. On this call, Azothan claimed that, quote, Blair and I had a phone call where she had told me that I was beneath her, that I was always going to be mediocre, and that she was better than that. And let me tell you what might be the most awful, heartbreaking thing Azothan shared with me. What he just said, you know, that Blair told him he was beneath her and mediocre. Here's why she used those specific words. Quote, about her calling me mediocre and a burden. Those words were the exact ones I used 5 months before when I attempted to end my life. To know that Azothan had attempted...
Alright, so we can agree this bitch is fucking crazy, right?
Yes. I think we very much can.
Has she actually, responded to any of this?
She...
I mean,
No.
I wouldn't yeah.
Not the
'Cause I feel
videos
like-
that came out after.
Yeah. I mean, I believe the dude, but also it's one of those things where, like, she can just turn around and be like, didn't happen.
Yeah, but I feel like the majority of the community...
No one would fucking believe it.
Yeah. It's just the levels of denial. Shit.
to end his life, that in that time of immense pain, he thought he was nothing. On a level makes me think of the fact that she did weaponize Wonder's mental health and self-harm note in her exposed video that she posted just a couple...
Yeah, it's basically just like potential pattern, although granted all you got to go is the word of the boyfriend, who knows, maybe he feels the need to justify. Sometimes it's hard to tell. Anyways. That was
That
what
was
the
fucking insane is what that was.
Yeah, what the shit, Blair? Okay, let's do this so I can fiddle around with things in the background.
Technically, she's been sending cease and desist.
Yeah.
Ah, this bitch. This bitch.
Okay.
Oh dear, okay.
Can I get this to work? Here, guys, you'll see if I can get this to work. Can I? No. Oh, wait, yes. No? Yes? Sorry. I am... Everything is black. Oh, capture window.
So I guess to add some levity, did anyone see Pink Robot's call out to me?
What? No.
What was Pink Robot calling you out for? Get out.
So, has Yoon told either of you of their Pepe Sylvia, or what they call their Pepe Sylvia?
No.
Okay. So it's been a long time, little conspiracy joke that Yoon has been saying that I'm just very closeted sapphic.
Oh, right, yeah.
Yeah, and so Pink went through pretty much all of my Twitter likes and just put my ads on blast.
Oh, god damn it.
Hello.
Hello. Shit. Fuck.
Hold on, I want to see this.
No, I lost it. God.
Pull out.
Fucking.
I need this. Susie, just admit you like the Whammons.
Oh. Wait, is that gonna work?
Oh yeah, no, it's a joke call out, Rotten Rare. Don't worry about it. Pink and I are chill.
Bro, am I not following Pink? No, I am. Okay, cool. Alright, let's see.
We'll see. Oh! 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 Let's see if this works.
What is your like, Susie? Susie, what? Oh no! No, Susie!
Come on, computer, you can do it.
Oh, this. Oh, you get put on blast. Oh, Susie, the evidence is overwhelming. Oh no.
Apologize for how long this
I love they ask how many of these do you have in the video drops?
Black, yeah, give me a sec, guys. Black screen. My computer is really struggling at the
Can I
moment.
link this to chat? I need to send this to chat. See if I have permissions.
Close down a few things real quick.
Alright, let's go. I have permissions. Go chat. See the evidence.
Join your local gym.
Shut the fuck up. Not you.
Okay.
Okay. Oh, come on. Don't die on me. Oh.
I thought it was really funny.
Oh,
None of it
apologize.
is. Fucking hilarious.
Oh, ah! Get.
The Mind of Crafts?
Oh, right. Just do that, you stupid fuck. Oh! Nope. Chuck Testa.
I'm so excited to see if it's still at, what is it? Oh god, what's that lowest resolution that it's normally on for you?
I don't know.
Let me check. 24 pixels.
Damn it.
240 pixels.
Probably. Wow, it's taking forever.
I have to go through and like save the entire mansion that you've been working on so I can import it into the season 2 world.
Oh, cool.
It's gonna take hours.
I was worried that was gonna get exploded.
Well, at least when you import it, it's finally not gonna have like a million fucking illagers spawning in it.
Oh my god, that would be amazing.
The illagers give it character though.
They did no.
The character of
Yeah.
perpetual threat.
That one character in the series that you fucking hate and wish would just vanish from the story. Yes.
I think
That
that's
kind
what
of character.
Hootie from the Owl House was supposed to be.
But we love
But Hootie's great though.
Oh, I'm sorry, Timona. I can't play right now. I know, Hootie. That's why I said supposed to be. I didn't say he was that. It's Hootie. Hootie is amazing. Dun 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 dun.
Oh, and you never actually got the horror one working, did you?
Don't count your chickens before.
Oh.
Did you look over the
snip,
tutorial I
snap
sent
'em.
you?
Don't. Shh. What do you think I'm trying to?
Okay.
What do you think I'm in the process
'Cause
of?
I'm opening the horror one at the moment.
Oh, I have to load the thingy. I have to type in the
I
numbers.
think I have like 10 lives left on the horror thing. I'm going to be
You
the
have
first
9.
person banned. Do I?
Yeah, because
no,
you.
because we.
Hang on, I'm gonna try to reload all these.
In the first place. So, because all I remember is that you said you had 10 lives, and then later on you said, "Oh yeah, I died." So I'm like, all right, I guess it's 9 now.
I don't remember which instances you're talking. I'll just check. I'll just log on and check. It'll tell me.
Is it in
I
I've
can't.
been
or was it in
grinding like crazy
Minecraft?
on that server.
There's no way I could play the fucking horror-themed Minecraft thing. Because I don't do well in high-stress situations, and if that Herobrine mod is the way that it looked like,
it's a little bit nicer
it's
now. It's a little bit
stupidly
better.
unfair.
They switched. We switched the mods. It's a different Herobrine mod now.
He's much
It's a
nicer.
lot less invasive.
That he doesn't possess mobs anymore, which is honestly
Yeah.
such a relief.
The possess mod things was like, it was basically making Herobrine just not scary, honestly, because he was just annoying as shit. No, he was
Yeah, but
just
that's why it
annoying as
scared
shit after a while. Because I was just like, oh, let me start a cow farm. Oh, I have to fucking have like a block of water underneath all my cows because some of them will be Herobrine cows, and when I kill them, they turn into lava. Oh, they infect all the other cows with their Herobrine-ness, and now I can't breed them. Cool. Or like, oh, cool, I got a fucking villager with mending, and it's a very good price, and I've like cycled him through some like zombie infections. No, just kidding. He doesn't have trades anymore because Herobrine. No.
Yeah.
He did kill like all of my villagers. I was very upset.
Yeah.
I spent so long trading with those villagers.
And then you had like fucking Chicken the Hedgehog, fastest chicken ever.
The number of
The
chickens I've
fucking blue blur over here.
I'm going back to my grinding.
They didn't. The chickens didn't even do that much damage either. They just did like 1 point of damage, but they were annoying.
They were fast and they scared me.
they were just fast. They did no
I think one knocked
damage.
me off a cliff once. That hurt. That hurt.
Mhm.
Right, I forgot that I was in the Nether when I left this game last. Whoops.
And then like Herobrine would like DM you, be like, look behind you, and then I would use F5 to look behind me, and then he would like I'd still be able to see him, but he doesn't realize it. And then I just back up and do him. Then he just leaves.
Let's not show that. So loud. Hi, Timona. I'm sorry. I can't play right now. Done? Hello?
I'm going to go and do something stupid. I'm
Ah!
gonna kill the warden.
Are you stupid? I'm dumb.
Yes.
It's just fucking kill me now.
What's wrong?
Nothing. You'll see if it's a problem later.
Oh.
I was trying to be a smarty pants and not show the server address, and then I forgot to name the thing, so I clicked edit, and it immediately showed the server address.
If we suddenly have people, I'll be like, oh hey, I know where they're from. They
Wait,
don't know
do you
the
not
mod
have a
pack, it's
whitelist?
The whitelist kind of like gave us issues earlier, so we got rid of it.
Oh my god, they're not responding.
Okay.
Might have to give up. This is taking too long.
I think the whitelist only gave you issues because you didn't whitelist everybody in the list. I ended up whitelisting like a good half of.
That would do it.
Preparing for world creation. Is this the first time you've logged into it?
Oh, they need the mod pack to join the server. Oh, okay.
Speaking of, have you got the right mod pack?
I think so. I hope so.
Which server are you talking about? Are you talking about the RP server or the fucking horror server?
Horror.
Oh. Oh well.
Wait, is that right?
Like,
I think so. I can't connect. No.
Okay, let me have a look. See. Let me troubleshoot something.
Rick to me.
Yeah, I think you just need to update the mod pack. Hold on.
Oh.
I'll just give you the name.
I thought I had the right mod pack.
We've been fiddling with it a bit.
Oh.
This new Herobrine
Curses. Alright.
Alright, give me a second.
Well, in that case, maybe I'll get the new mod pack and shut up, Minecraft. You're so loud. Fucking hell. Maybe I will get the new mod pack and fix this up, and we can do this later tonight because Demona wants attention and love and to sit outside for a bit, and I think she's been good enough. She's been such a good girl. She deserves it.
Well, I'm going to be leaving for a couple days after tonight, so if I could play some Minecraft with you before I go, that'd be nice.
That'd be okay. Then yes, I will definitely come back later tonight.
Okay, guys, I hope you enjoyed the stream. I will come back later tonight and we will do spooky Minecraft. If I can get it working, we'll see how things go. Thank you. Bye.